Hi everyone, welcome back to the Timesink Anime Podcast. Once again, I'm going to recommend that our viewers watch something else. That being said, let's get right into the show. So last week, for starters, I'm JT, this is Rex, and
Hi.
Rex last week had promised that he was going to make your guys' waifus real. How's that coming along,
Alright, don't
Rex?
fucking call me out right in the beginning of the episode, okay? Just fucking throw me under the bus like that, alright? It's gonna happen, okay? It just takes some time. We gotta process the orders.
Has anybody actually submitted any orders?
Yeah, tons of people. Yeah, we got orders across the board. It's just gonna take a while. Don't call the collection agencies or anything.
All right.
Waifus will be there before Christmas.
So, before Christmas, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So, if I may ask, has there been a reasonable spread of what waifus you've been expecting? Like what kind of waifus are people wanting? Like, are there some people that are saying tsunderes like Taiga, or others saying yanderes?
Oh no, it's all priestess and elf this season.
Oh,
all
that
priestess
makes
and
sense.
elf.
All priestess and elf.
Yeah.
Really? No Rika? That's shocking.
Some lizard man.
Of course.
It comes with stuffed cheese.
Yeah, it's stuffed cheese. Oh, man.
Real cheese. Sorry, yeah, because they're real. Real waifus.
Real fake waifus. Yeah. Anyway, so I actually I stumbled upon something pretty cool today regarding Evangelion being released on Netflix.
Yeah.
So, like with a lot of other shows that Netflix is getting a hold of, Netflix is planning on getting the dubbing for it. Now, the thing is, Evangelion already has a dub. The thing is, though, there's talks of possibly redubbing it. But the really cool part is, all the original voice actors, so like Spike Spencer for Shinji, Amanda Wynn Lee for Rei, all those people are petitioning actually to be redubbed or to be recast or reprise the roles in the redub of the show.
How was the original dub?
The original dub, it was the late 90s, so, I thought for the most part it was fine. I liked it. I think all the characters really fit their roles. But obviously there was a little bit of awkwardness because it was a different time. It was a different time. People were still getting the hang of dubbing in America. But me personally, I thought it was great. I think all the voices kind of fit, and obviously people really seem to think so too because Funimation, when they got the rebuild Evangelion movies, they got everybody on the original project to reprise their roles anyway, with the exception of Amanda Wynn Lee, because Amanda Wynn Lee in the rebuild movies doesn't voice Rei. Brina Palencia does, which I don't know the reason exactly why for that change, but Brina did a great job, so I can't really complain.
Just contract reasons.
Yeah, probably contract reasons, or she was busy at doing something else at the time, but just for the record, aside from Rei, Amanda Wynn Lee voices Yukiko from Persona, and I'm trying to think of another really big one, and Magnolia from Bravely Second, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like her voice actress, and so it'd be interesting to see her, voice Rei again, especially, and all these other characters too, because especially since it's been, a couple decades, and all these voice actors have a lot more experience under their belt, so that'll be interesting. You still have never seen Evangelion, right?
No, yeah. I'm waiting for it to come on Netflix and I'll binge it.
Yeah, it should. As far as I know, that actually should. I think I said last episode of podcast that it should be coming out in January of next year. I was wrong. It's supposed to be coming out during roughly the spring season of 2018. Okay. So that would place it somewhere in April, I'd say.
No rush. I'll get to it.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think actually one of my favorite Evangelion stories, before we get right into the show, one of my favorite Evangelion stories is actually the ending of Evangelion, of the original series. Spike Spencer, as soon as he got finished recording, he actually, in character as Shinji, was saying how fucking confused he was the whole time.
It's really great whenever you see voice actors get into it.
Yeah.
They really enjoy it.
Yeah, he's all just, wait, is that it? Or am I real? Or Ava's real? Is my mom real? All this crazy stuff. And
it's fucking how I felt after watching Paprika.
Oh my god, Paprika.
I was like, what if life is just that? What if I'm not real? Is this conversation even real?
No, that was, but yeah, that's, if you guys want to listen to that, actually, just look up Spike Spencer freaking out at the end of Evangelion, and I'm pretty sure it's something like that.
You can look it up on Bing.
I was gonna say,
Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves.
Does Jeeves even exist anymore?
I don't think so, because for the longest time that was Ask Jeeves, and then it went to Ask, and then and I don't know if it even exists anymore. Yeah. But who knows?
Where is he? Where's Jeeves?
We missed you, Jeeves. Anyway, we spent a little bit of time just talking about random stuff and news. Let's get right into the shows this week. Pretty good week, I think. So, for starters, Certain Magical Index. Now, this episode, it took place mostly on a plane.
Yep.
Yeah, this episode took place mostly on a plane. I think they handled that kind of setting and that kind of tenseness a little bit better than Karakuri Circus.
Yeah, it was a little more realistic.
Yeah,
I mean, Karakuri Circus wasn't trying to be super realistic. But the scene worked a little better.
Yeah, I think so, because there was a lot more. It kind of was less focusing on just outright fighting and stuff like that, and instead focusing on just trying to figure out, okay, who's the hijacker among all these people, about what you'd expect, and also it really kind of captured just being in a confined space like that. I like when there's fight scenes in confined spaces, like in confined hallways and stuff like that, because you have to really, think in how to, actually fight in a confined space.
Oh, yeah, like the guy who didn't in Goblin Slayer and then he died?
Yeah. But this kind of reminded me why I like the stuff like this. We did get to hear Index's incessant whining.
Oh, my God. So, before we started the episode, I was like, oh, man. For a show called Index, there sure hasn't been a lot of Index. And as soon as Index showed up, I'm like, shut up! I hate your voice. At least I don't hate her voice, but whenever I hear someone yelling really loud in a plane, I'm just like, ugh, God, you're such an asshole.
Yeah.
Think about everyone else on the plane.
Yeah, I mean, and she's behaving like a child. But the only difference is she's supposed to be 15, 16? Or something like that.
I don't know.
But
she's a teenager.
She's supposed to be a little bit more aware of her situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she didn't have the most normal upbringing, so she probably doesn't have all those.
I guess, but
things in her brain.
I guess the thing is the point that I'm getting at though is it was freaking annoying.
Yeah, it was really annoying.
Although it was interesting though, her getting captured at one point in the episode, and then Toma having to. And didn't she fight back at one point?
No.
Okay, she didn't.
She was put at knife point and then strangled, and that was pretty much her.
Oh yeah,
her part for the entire episode.
It's a shame because we know Index is capable of doing crazy shit, making golems and stuff run in opposite directions. So and stuff
she's like Toma, she's very situationally powerful.
Yeah.
She's only strong against people who can use magic, or who are using magic.
Right.
She can redirect the magic, and then she also had that thing where she sang to all the nuns, and they stabbed their ears with pens.
Oh God. Yeah, I remember that. That was in season 2.
Yeah. I like after when he rescued Index, I love that Toma always goes for the head. Literally always goes for the head. Because, he saved Index, he pushed the guy out of the room, and then he fucking, went to stomp the guy right in the head. Mm-hmm. And then the guy jumped out of the way, though, and later he hit him with the old...
Toma Special?
The Toma Special,
yeah. Yeah, which is just punching someone in the jaw as hard as... Yes. I mean, that's how you do, I guess. I mean, if you want to knock somebody out, you usually try to aim for the side of their face.
Yeah, it's the one thing he's good at. It is punching, which is why I can give it to him, because it's oh yeah, he always knocks people down in one hit, but he has to land that hit, and he has to go through all the process of getting close enough to land that hit.
Yeah, Toma may not be always the most interesting protagonist, but at the same time, he's not a lot of the stuff he does, actually trying to figure out how his enemies function and stuff like that. That's always been something I really liked about Toma as a character. And it is interesting though. seeing him actually do stuff and not just kind of serving as a random Deus Ex Machina, at the end of the Aqua episode.
So Laura, Laura, the blonde church lady.
Yeah. The Archbishop, right?
Yeah, Archbishop. So I guess her game was like she didn't want the plane to crash in a populated area. Mm-hmm. Was that what she was trying to do?
I don't know. She wanted it to land like kind of somewhere off of the main, like out of a populated area. Yes, but she didn't want it to crash. I don't know entirely what the focus of this arc is supposed to be. It seems like it's supposed to be like a sort of religious war between the English factions and the French now, because the Romans are sort of taking a break after, which I don't understand why the Romans all of a sudden are taking a break. You'd think that Fiamma, it'd be an opportune time to introduce Fiamma and continue with the whole Right Seed of God arc, but...
No, just to introduce more characters.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, let's just introduce more characters.
Because like at the end, they just showed like a bunch of girls driving up.
Yeah.
In a sedan of all vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, which I guess if you're just trying to get a handful of people through, that's fine, but...
I think that when Laura's illusions kind of started disappearing, I think that was them.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because they were like, there's interference coming from, was it like Ireland or
something like that?
There was interference coming from down below, and they couldn't figure out who it was, and then later they showed those characters. So I feel like it was probably the girl with like the headphones on or something.
That would probably
make sense. She looks like techno-ish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but this series has a habit of introducing a lot of characters and just like, okay, I can't really keep up with all these ones.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Usually, like in Railgun, they don't really have this problem as often, like, because they usually focus on, I don't know, maybe it's just this season in particular.
It's this season.
Yeah. Because,
specifically.
Yeah, this season just seems to, like, tries to cram as much stuff as humanly possible in and kind of speed through a lot of stuff. Like, a good friend of ours was talking about how the Civil War arc or whatever it was one of his, or Battle Royale arc, was one of his favorite arcs, because it was actually a really cool like fight between Accelerator and Dark Matter. Here they really condensed a bunch of it, and it wasn't nearly as satisfying, which I guess you could contribute, the fact that they're trying to just compress all of the remaining Index novels into like the span of 26 episodes.
I'm assuming they're probably given like an order, like, here, you need to put all this content in this amount of show, and they're like, we'll do our best.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know who to throw blame at. It's still good.
Like, I'm enjoying it.
It's confusing sometimes.
Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it, but I feel like it just feels like a bit of a crash course on the light novels, which shouldn't have to be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think my stance on adaptations is they should be able to stand on their own. Like, a good adaptation, like, keeps in spirit of the original source material, but still is able to capture new ideas and stuff like that, and, again, should just be able to stand on its own. This feels like a little bit like, all right, I kind of feel like I need to be reading the light novels to understand to understand what the hell's going on.
Either that or like go back and watch the episode like 5 times.
Yeah, just like, like I talked about this during the Battle Royale arc a few weeks ago, like how I had to watch the episode a second time and then look up stuff on the Index wiki, and I'm like, oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. But it feels like it just feels like, there's a lot of that this season.
So, going back to the episode, the guy had the knife. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, it's an animal bone knife. I'm going to stab you with it. So Toma, like, punched him in the face, and then he dropped the knife, and then the knife just, like, crumbled.
Mm.
Like, what was that going to do? Like, it didn't even fall that far. It just kind of, like, softly hit the ground and just went... I mean, like, was that a bluff? Was that just a bluffing tool?
Was it a bluffing tool? Was it imbued with magic?
To me, it felt like a plot device to be like, okay, you beat him up, and now his weapons crumbled. Like, he's not a threat anymore. Don't worry about him.
Huh. Yeah, I do like towards the end of the episode though, when they have to go into the cargo bay, and Toma actually proving that he can be a smart protagonist, basically uses the whole, you do know what thermal expansion is sort of deal.
Clever little aside. Well, it's related to this. Back when he was making noodles for Index.
Yeah.
he was about to like talk about that because when he's pouring the hot water out, you hear like a pop.
Yeah.
And Index is like, "What was that noise?" And then he's like, "I dropped all the noodles."
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was clever little writing. Thing.
Yeah, it's sort of like a foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I like it when seemingly mundane things actually do contribute to being foreshadowing later. And Index usually does some pretty cool things with like kind of ridiculous scientific concepts, like the whole Schrodinger's cat thought experiment and personal realities, all that stuff. Index has a way of bullshitting its way in a way that sounds at least somewhat convincing, I guess. But
yeah, like they did the whole heat expansion thing, and then Toma's like, "Surprise! Hot tea or hot coffee, whatever."
Yeah.
And then Style showed up.
Oh, that's right.
Which, like, he showed up for like 2 seconds, and he was like, "Hey, Toma, you're stupid. I'm gonna use my fire magic to hit this specific spot and knock the like." How did he know exactly where to aim?
I don't know.
I'm magic. That's I'm assuming what it was.
But then, on top of that, the guy started like flying through like the spot, and he started getting crushed.
God.
I was halfway expecting him to get like compressed through the damn.
Yeah,
that's what I was expecting, like to get him like get sucked out through and just get completely crushed and mangled and just fly out of the plane or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I expected. But I think that's what would have happened.
Yeah, I was expecting some like
explosive decompression.
Yeah,
pretty fucking strong.
Like the kind of reminds me of the ending of Nightmare on Elm Street. You ever watch that?
Yes, a long time ago.
Okay, in the ending of Nightmare on Elm Street, you see like them driving away, like, and then like Freddy's hand like reaches through like the door window and then like grabs the mom and just like pulls her in through the tiny ass window. Yeah. Scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Watched it recently. I'm like, that's not nearly as scary as I remember, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. But yeah, I thought this episode was good. I really sometimes wish the Index would slow the fuck down so I could kind of process a little bit more and actually enjoy what's going on, rather than having
gas on the pedal. And we only have fucking 2 more episodes left. We gotta tell this arc.
Yeah, in 2 or 3, and that's the end of this core. Some things are going on a little bit longer than 12 episodes this core, or some started late. So, all right.
Next up is Banana Fish.
All right, I fucking love this episode. Of course, I can't bring up this episode without bringing up the obvious title, like drop.
Oh yeah, the title, very fitting.
Yeah, As I Lay Dying, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that most of these most of the episode titles are like lines from like classic literature and stuff like that. Like even the first episode is called A Fine Day for Banana Fish, and even the show Banana Fish is a reference to the short story by J.D. Salinger, A Fine Day for Banana Fish.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that what it's from?
Yeah.
Okay, I never knew about that.
Yeah, no, I looked at... Yeah, they actually brought that up, like, back in episode 1 when they found out what Banana Fish was. He's like, Salinger reference. But I think a lot of these are supposed to be references to, like, classic literature.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know what As I Lay Dying is a reference to. But either way, it was super fitting for this episode.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Jeez.
I mean, all right, where do we even start with this episode? There's just a lot of really good things that happened here.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Pick one.
All right. So, we have another rapist asshole.
Yeah.
Colonel Fox is yet another person who wants to rape Ash.
Exactly. Like as soon as he showed up or as soon as he started like beating up Ash, I'm like, yeah, he's gonna rape him. Like that's because I mean, Ash has the inexplicable ability to attract every single male member of the cast.
I don't know if be fair,
every bad guy, I guess.
To be fair, I think Shawshank Redemption quoted best. It's not so much a matter of when Red and Andy are talking with each other, like out on the yard. It's like Boggs has taken quite a liking to you, Boggs and the sisters, and he's like, I suppose it wouldn't help me too much to explain to those men I wasn't homosexual. It's like, neither are they. You'd have to be human first. Which I think that's the thing. These people aren't necessarily human. They're just monsters.
Yeah, well, they're monsters that all want to have sex with Ash.
Yeah, I mean, Ash is pretty. He's a very pretty...
Yeah, I'd fuck him. Yeah, I'm not gay, but I'd have sex with a man. I'm just a monster.
Oh, sure. Anyway. But yeah, this is actually something that I hadn't realized how much bothered me until recently. Everybody refers to Golzine as the Monsieur, which...
Monsieur.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense, because Golzine is Italian. Monsieur, I'm pretty sure, is a French word.
Yeah, it's a French word for, like, Mister or Sir or whatever.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder, I mean, I don't know. I mean, France and Italian are both Romance languages. So I wonder if there's, like, a kind of a cognate there or something, but... It just kind of throws me off a little bit every time they refer to Golzine as the Monsieur. It's like, he's Italian. Couldn't you refer to him as something more, I don't know, Italian sounding?
Well, all the street level people refer to him as Papadino.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of more Italian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Papadino.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it sounds even more Italian if you, like, make, like, Italian hands and say, like, Papadino!
Yeah. Talking about, like, Fox and when he started basically feeling Ash up, it's actually kind of disturbing to know that he still is... Like, I mean, it makes sense, and we've dealt with this before, but just... He still is, like, repulsed by, like, people touching him and stuff like that. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, if he had that kind of same reaction in prison, like, when it happened to him there. Like, I mean, it had to have. We didn't really see it happen off, like...
Well, yeah, that was, like... There was a point where a guy touched him in prison... And he, like, jumped over the table and, like, started choking him, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was that, but I'm talking about when he actually got raped in the library at prison, like, if, like, before that, like, he was, like, and he kind of went there to provoke him and still get information, which, if that's the case, good lord, man. That's...
I mean, like, he's used to it at this point.
But, yeah, it's what he had to do. But, I mean... It's something that he shouldn't have to get used to, like killing people, but he is, and that's what's kind of horrifying about this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I want to talk about Ash's escape, though, from the compound. How Fox, like an idiot, just leaves a cigarette on the ground.
Yeah, when are people gonna stop underestimating Ash?
Yeah.
Like, at this point, he's escaped so many different things, you should just, like, handcuff him, put him in a locked room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Golzine was doing it pretty well, because he was, like, blinding Ash.
Yeah,
whenever he took him out into public. So Golzine kind of knows not to underestimate him. But, like, everyone else, they're just like, fucking take some nylon string, tie him up a little bit loosely, tell him not to be a bad boy, we're good. Let's go. Wrap it up, boys, we're done.
Yeah, but I just wanted to point out, because there's actually a pretty cool thing when he sees, like, the cigarette and then they kick him. He actually intentionally, like, made himself go over the cigarette, which I thought was a pretty cool little detail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he actually lands right above the cigarette, which was an awesome detail. But the other interesting thing, when he burns the rope with the cigarette, I was thinking to myself, is that even possible? Like,
depends on if the rope's really dry and like old. If a rope is frayed, it'll burn really easily.
Yeah, I mean that's true. And then when I looked into it a little bit, and apparently cigarettes have the ability to, like, at their peak, burn at 900 degrees Celsius.
That's a lot of degrees.
Yeah, in Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe with, like, I don't know. That's what I remember. I could have accidentally misread that, so don't quote me on that entirely. but it was a really high degree. Like, it was a really high amount of degrees, and I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of makes a degree of sense. It's sort of like
degree of sense.
That was unintentional. I swear to God it was. But anyway, just this whole... And then, of course, the epic double kill with the throwing knife. Like, he grabs one guy's knife that's beating the shit out of him. He just stabs him right in the heart. Mm-hmm. And then he takes the same guy's knife and throws it at the guy's head across the room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen before what you can do with it. Like, when you threw the knife, like, all the way down the stairs and hit Blanca in the arm.
That's true. Ash is talented at many a thing. Mm-hmm. Many things. And then, after they had escaped, there was such a good scene here, like when, I think it was Kane or Singh or somebody was, like, going to check on him and see if he was okay. He, like, pushes his hand away, and he's like, I'll be fine. It's like, I'll be fine. I just need to rest a little bit. And and then Eiji just goes up and hugs him.
Yeah,
like,
doesn't say anything.
Like, doesn't say anything, doesn't even, like, force him into it. He kind of just, like, gradually does it, and then just kind of holds him there for a little bit. And it's such a good scene because you see, like, Ash, like, visibly shaking at first, and he gradually calms down. It's just such a again, I always talk about visual storytelling and stuff, and that's a really good example of it here.
He's like the only person that can really do that for Ash.
Yeah, and I really liked that. I thought it was really, really cool. And this happened all in the span of like 15 seconds. It's 15 seconds of really good animation and storytelling there.
And then they had like there was just like a kind of a calm moment of them talking.
Yeah.
Just chilling out for a while. What's his name? Lao is getting pissed off at Sing more.
Yeah. There's a lot of tension, and then Lao's main reason is he wants Sing to be like the quote-unquote king of downtown, and then Sing doesn't necessarily want that. He recognizes that he doesn't have that same degree of power that Ash and Shorter has, and he even says at one point, I'm tired of getting compared to someone who's already dead.
This is funny, because
that's exactly what he's doing.
Last episode in our podcast, I'm like, it's okay. It's okay, Shorter. What? It's okay, Sing.
That's true.
So, going back to, it was a little farther back with Yetlung.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much called it right on the head of he wants Ash to be a wild animal.
Yeah,
he's pissed off at AG. He wants AG to be out of the picture because AG's taming Ash.
Yeah, he said in his own words, "I want to see Ash rule the city as a great demon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been my life's desire to fight a monster like that, tooth and nail, with every fiber of my being." So basically, he sees Ash as a rival, that one that he wants to fight. But he can't necessarily get that fight because of AG.
Yeah.
So yeah, you called it. Very well done on that front.
Speaking of AG, we got to the climax of the episode.
Oh God.
Where this perfect wordplay of AG teaching Ash some English, and then he's like,
well, it's supposed to be Japanese.
Japanese, yeah, it's a little confusing sometimes. He's like, sayonara, and then Ash says it.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, the guys bust in.
And shoot, and then AG pushes Ash out of the way. He gets shot, and then Ash goes fucking berserk.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He just shoots a guy who's dead 5 times after that, runs down the hall, shoots another guy, and then keeps shooting him from a distance. And then Lao gets ready to pull a gun on him. He just shoots the gun out of Lao's hands.
Oh, he shoots Lao's hand.
Oh, he does shoot Lao's hand?
He shot him in the hand, and then the gun.
Okay.
He dropped the gun.
Yeah, good lord.
Which, that fucking reaction time, he's just like, boom, 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 shooting the dead body. Someone pulls a gun on him. Bam! Just shoots that guy.
Yeah.
I kind of expected him to just go back to shooting the guy, but Sing was in the way at this point.
Yeah. This episode was it was hard to watch, especially because of just seeing, I knew that something bad was going to happen to one of these two eventually, but I wasn't exactly sure, when it was going to happen.
Yeah, if this story's going for, the tragic ending, I wouldn't be surprised if AG dies here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I wouldn't be mad if they go for the happy ending or the tragic ending at this point. I feel like they've earned either.
Yeah, exactly.
With the storytelling. But yeah, AG got shot in, the right side of his lower abdomen.
Yeah.
So that's, what, the liver?
Yeah.
Kidneys?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's around the kidneys, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily automatically life-threatening.
Yeah.
It could have shot his gut or his intestines, so it could get septic. I really don't know. I don't know if he's dead or not. I can't say one way or another.
Yeah. I actually did have one more thing to talk about a little bit earlier before AG got shot, with just a little moment between Jessica and Ash. That just how they do this, with how they tell her backstory and stuff with kind of minimalistic storytelling, and it's done really well here, because she asked Ash, or gets ready to ask him, if he was raped that day they rescued him, and then he says, "You wanted to know, right?" It's yes, I was. And it's how could you say it so calmly? It took me 6 months to get back on my feet, which, again, it's a very subtle detail, but at the same time, it tells you enough of what she went through and how harrowing of an experience it was. And it kind of makes me wonder, because if you consider Max Ash's kind of surrogate dad, and Jessica would kind of be his surrogate mom, but it kind of makes me wonder, they have something that's unfortunately in common. They're both rape victims, but I actually thought about it a little bit. I wonder if that is what caused Jessica to just break off with Max for a while, because he just wasn't there when it happened and didn't know how to support her or some shit.
Might have been.
Like, I don't know. That's just me thinking. But after just that scene, I was like, oh god. I just thought it was such a good way of just telling a huge, or showing a huge amount of somebody's story in as little dialogue as possible. Minimalistic storytelling. I enjoy it.
Gets you thinking.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, on to Goblin Slayer this week. This episode was actually pretty calm. Like, not a lot happened this episode. Like,
yeah, it was just...
It was like it was like a calm before the storm, I guess.
Yeah, lots of little character building and...
like, introspective moments.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that they skipped the ice cream making, because that sounded really adorable.
Yeah.
Like, this show is, it's definitely, like, more on the serious side,
but
which just makes me love the slice of life moments all the more.
Yeah, like again, the moment when he was just hanging out with Priestess that one afternoon was just so good. Yeah. Like, it was such a good episode.
So in the intro, you know, it's when it showed like the hero and the party, and he's like, when I was young, I wanted to be a hero.
Yeah,
it took me a while to realize that actually happened. Like, that wasn't a dream or a fantasy. That actually happened.
Yeah,
because they were like, oh yeah, the hero killed the demon lord or whatever.
Yeah, they keep bringing up like the stereotypical like hero and the demon king storyline. You know, I mean, it's pretty common in a lot of like high fantasy stuff, anyways. Like and especially in like Japanese like stuff, like there's a great demon king and a hero has to rise up and defeat them. Sea Devil's a part-timer, a hero, and Demon King for just a couple. Yeah, Konosuba. Just, it seems so ridiculously common. Now, the interesting thing here, though, like, I read a little bit on the background of this. Apparently, that was just the most recent incarnation of the Demon King.
Yeah, he was reincarnated.
Yeah. And this is, like, the most recent reincarnation of the hero, I think. So, yeah, the hero and the Demon King, they keep coming back every once in a while. So
I think it's just a different hero each time.
You think so? Yeah.
Because before it was the Sword Maiden was the last one that killed the Demon King.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was. But yeah, it seems like the hero is almost always a woman, which is interesting because
2 out of 2 times.
I mean,
we don't know how many other times there has been.
Well, it's at least a pattern at this point, which is interesting. But again, I don't really know all that much about Goblin Slayer lore, just based on... I'm just focusing on what we have presented here. But I really like this episode because we actually see Goblin Slayer without his armor most of the time, most of it, because he's getting it repaired. And most people don't even recognize him.
Yeah, actually when he went to the guild the first time, the witch was the only person.
Yeah, because she kind of winked at him.
Yeah, she was like the only person that seemed to know who he was. Everyone else just had no idea.
The guy who like constantly like hangs around with the witch, the guy with the lance and kind of the dark blue like purplish armor.
Yeah, the red-haired fighter guy.
Yeah, like he even didn't recognize him. Like he was just talking to him. It's like, "Are you new?" It's like, "No, not really."
Which I feel a little bad for that guy because he doesn't realize how he has absolutely no chance with the guild girl.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm sticking around for personal reasons. And he looks over at her. It's like, oh, you poor boy.
It's like, well, it's unfortunate that that Goblin Slayer, that she has a crush on Goblin Slayer. And it's actually, later, everybody's, worried about, how Slayer keeps just throwing himself into, these ridiculously, these ridiculous situations, how he has no hope of usually coming out of alive, and how it's so risky for him, and especially considering the time he literally almost died. Yeah. And then the guild girl actually says something to the effect of, "You have to start taking better care of yourself, or I'll stop giving you requests." He's like, okay.
And you have to, if next time you pass out, I'm not giving you a quest for 6 months. He's like, that'd be bad.
Yeah, that's bad. And then, his Goblin Slayer's, for lack of a better term, harem.
Yeah, it's like a really sneaky harem anime. It's weird. I don't have a problem with it. I just didn't expect it.
Yeah, it's the farm girl shows up and she notices that he's surrounded by a bunch of his party mates and at least half of them are girls. And he's like, "You certainly have a lot of friends, don't you?"
That was a really cool scene, actually, because I mean, you'd expect them to be you expect most anime characters to be like, "They're not my friends" or whatever, that kind of saying. But she's like, "Oh, you have a lot of friends." He's like, "Yeah,
I do."
Yeah, that's just once again just going back to his character growth.
Yeah,
when he starts hanging around with more people.
And it's kind of contrasted a little bit of something he says later, like when him and Farm Girl are walking back home. He says something to the effect of, working in a party helps me kill goblins more efficiently, or something like that, which I think that's a part of it, but at the same time, I think that's just him trying to be more stoic. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like, because, yeah, he obviously has people that he cares about, like, and his friend, and he even acknowledged them as friends, which is, again, like you said, huge character moment for him. But yeah, he actually acknowledged them as friends here, and actually just was, seems like, yeah, for the first time in my life, I'm actually working with people I care about, which is interesting.
Yeah, so going back to when he was, like, fixing his armor and stuff, like, he brought it to the shop. So we saw he has 2 sets of armor. Both of them have broken off horns.
Yeah.
Why?
Is that just a stylistic thing that he does?
Like, if his reasoning is, I don't want the horns there because they'll get in the way, like, why even get a helmet with horns on it?
I don't know.
Like, he got helmets that had horns on them and intentionally broke them off. Like, why?
I don't know. I really don't know, but...
I'm guessing it's just, like, he looked cooler that way, so... The artist wanted to draw him that way. Probably.
Yeah, I imagine so. I imagine that has to be a big part. And then, like, there was a really nice moment between Goblin Slayer and Farm Girl back off on the farm. You pointed out something interesting, how she kind of picked up, like, sort of, like, his speaking pattern a little bit.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that just really quick before you go on. So the way that Goblin Slayer and her talk is so, like, just minimalistic and natural. It's the kind of talk that you only get from, like, someone you've been around your entire life.
Yeah.
Whereas when Goblin Slayer talks to Priestess, she's always, like, trying to correct him and say, like, no, you should use more words.
Yeah.
Whereas Farm Girl just, like, accepts it. Just like there was a part where when they were walking home, she's like, so that's how it is. Or he's like, yeah, so that's how it is. Yeah. And, like, this, it's just, like, so natural to them. It's a small detail, but it's really well done. Yeah,
and the other, like, scene is, like, when he's just kind of looking up at the moon, like, and then she just, like, kind of pulls him down on, like, and has him resting his head on her lap, and he's just looking up on the moon. He's like, so, what you thinking about? And I was actually halfway joking. I was like, oh, goblins. Like, but then he's like, he actually said the future. It's like, huh, interesting. He's actually thinking about the future, and is starting to think a little bit about his own mortality and how he can't keep doing this forever. Like, everybody else says that he can, and he's slowly... I think that is starting to dawn on him a little bit that, you know, he's eventually going to have to pass the torch on to the next group of adventurers. Like, he can't keep doing this himself. Which is cool. It's a nice little bit of introspection for him.
Yeah. Although, like... he's probably thinking more about... like, what he's going to do in the future. He's like, oh, maybe I'll start settling down. The end of the episode, sure.
Yeah.
Probably, I feel like he's going to be, like, more gung-ho about killing goblins than ever, because they're on his...
He was doing his regular old patrols, like he always does, like, around the farm. Like, and throughout the episode, you see, like, the dad of the farm girl basically saying, it's like, I don't think you need to be taking this as seriously. It's like, the Demon King's armies are dead, or the Demon King is dead now, so the monsters will calm down. He's like, goblins won't.
Yeah.
And just, like, he's like, well, even still, I don't think you need to worry as much. And then, like, lo and behold, he just, like, looks through a pile of brush or whatever, and then immediately sees, like, a shitload of goblin prints just everywhere.
I think this is gonna trigger something in him, because he's always, like, stoic and never, like, emotional, except for, like, the part, I guess the most emotional we've seen him is when he was choking out the
goblin champion.
The goblin champion.
Yeah.
And it just the fire in his eyes of, like,
this fucking kill
bullshit.
Yeah, I'm going to fucking kill you.
But, like, yeah, this is probably going to spark something in him, because it's it's in the same place as where his sister and all his other all the other people he knew.
Oh my god, I'd almost completely forgotten about his sister, because, like, he talked about her in the intro of the episode, I think, and how, like, before that day happened, she made him, like, his favorite meal, like a chicken milk soup or something like that.
Yeah, chicken milk stew.
Yeah, and how it was his absolute favorite dish and how he loved it so much, but ever since that day, he's never eaten it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the whole dried persimmon thing in Golden Kamuy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like how it was one of his favorite dishes and something that kind of represented like simpler times and how kind of young and innocent, but then completely taken away. It's like, I haven't had it since.
It'd be a nice scene to see him like eat that and then, or like it'd be a really cool way to end the series if everyone lives and you know, nothing shitty happens or nothing too shitty happens.
Yeah.
It'd just be a cool scene to end the series on if he just like, you see him eat a bite of the stew and then you just see it as like a single tear on his face or something like that.
Yeah. That'd be great. I think, that actually, I'm really a big fan of like kind of emotional eating scenes. One particular one comes to mind. You know the one.
The one from March Comes in Like a Lion?
No.
Oh wait.
Erased.
Erased, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yes, Erased. That scene is so good.
Damn.
But yeah, just it'd be great if they pulled something like that because again, emotional eating scenes.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of eating or drinking, I guess the drinking contest in those episodes.
Oh my god,
was hilarious!
Holy shit, the drinking contest.
We all knew how it was gonna end. You had a dwarf against an elf, and it's obvious the dwarf is gonna win a drinking contest.
Well,
like she hung in there.
Yeah, she hung in there pretty well. The weird thing is that elves. Like, I don't know, sometimes elves have pretty high constitutions and stuff and are able to, like, drink wine and stuff. They're not able to drink dwarven wine because it's brewed very differently than the shit they're accustomed to.
It's like wine versus hard liquor.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, oh, you can drink regular old wine. I'll be drinking my fire wine. Yeah. And you just see, throughout the entire bit, you just see her getting, like, progressively more drunk and belligerent.
Yeah, there's It was nice attention to detail of when she started getting like flushed in the face. Yeah, like the tips of her ears started getting flushed as well.
Yeah, that was so good. Oh my god, I love this series, and I'm gonna actually be kind of upset when it ends because we've only got 2 episodes left, so that's enough for like the conclusion of this arc.
Yeah, you might be more upset. There might be more people dying.
Oh yeah,
might be some pretty important people dying. I don't know. Yeah. 2 episodes left. Next up we have Golden Kamuy 2, which I saw the last episode and I was like, oh man, that's some sweet ass fan service for all the ladies. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's probably the most.
Yeah, you mean man service?
Man service, yeah. That's gonna be like the most we're gonna see for the season. And then I'm like, oh, well, sorry, I didn't expect you were gonna fucking throw up a calendar shot of all the guys just nude and staring at the cameras.
In a fucking hot spring.
Like JoJo posing at the camera naked.
No shit. They spend pretty much the entire episode completely fucking naked.
Yeah, it just to like highlight this show's ability to mix comedy and action or flip-flop it. So they got shot at while on a hot spring, and they're like, oh shit, we need to hurry up and get up and get our weapons and shit. Everyone's standing up, and fucking Shiraishi gets hit in the head by 2 dicks. Like, just like, the like dark figures just like slap, he's like, as everyone's standing up, and then it like just transitions to an entirely serious moment.
Yeah, that whole bit was hilarious. And also just the concept behind this episode. Blind bandits that are able to attack people with echolocation.
Yeah, I've never been blind before, but I'm pretty sure that's not how being blind works.
I mean,
I don't think that blind people just have the ability to use sonar.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's about as ridiculous as Daredevil.
Yeah.
But the thing is, here I'm able to suspend my disbelief.
Yeah, sure. Like it didn't really bother me. I'm like, just like thinking that's not how it works.
I mean, I almost know that's not how it works, but I still thought it was freaking awesome because
it was really tense.
Yeah, it was just a really tense thing, and it's just, again, it's such a cool concept. Like, holy crap, if human beings had echolocation and they were blind bandits that attack people at night during the new moon, holy shit, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such a cool freaking, like, concept. And one that drives this entire episode forward. But, another really cool thing in the very beginning was when they first visit the hot spring, and the masseuse is just massaging Sugimoto, like getting him relaxed and shit, and he just starts saying like all these things, like just one of them being is like, how do you have so many deep wounds that these haven't killed you yet? And then Sugimoto reveals a really cool thing about Ainu culture. This show is really good at teaching me shit that I otherwise wouldn't learn. the whole when Ainu have a funeral, a person's kimono and possessions are damaged, and so that way their soul is able to pass onto so they can take them with them to the next world. Basically, when somebody dies, they break their possessions so that the souls of those objects goes along with them.
Well, they don't break them. They just give them like a slight rip or tear or whatever.
And then Shirpa says something to the effect of that. Basically says, "Yeah, we rip them or tear them. We damage their possessions so their souls. So we let their souls free because their purpose here has been completed. These wounds haven't killed you yet because you haven't finished your purpose here yet."
Yeah, I noticed that scene, and it does a really good job of pointing out how much Tsukimoto is trying to learn. He's paying attention to like all the stuff that Shirpa teaches him.
Yeah,
and he takes it to such heart because you can just tell just the emotion he has in that scene.
Yeah. I would have really liked to have seen this scene dubbed because, again, I really enjoyed Ian Sinclair and Monica Rial.
You're going to have to go back and watch it all again.
Yeah, that's true. Subscribe to Funimation now, folks.
Oh, God damn it, it's Funimation, I forgot.
Right?
More bills.
All right. Anyway, getting back to the rest of the episode, we get the whole, we find out where Incarnate finally got, like, her awesome kimono. It was a gift from Will.
I don't think it's kimono.
It was a kimono.
I think it's it's probably called something else, because it was like a traditional Ainu dress. I don't think they'd call it a kimono.
I guess so. But that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about it. It's basically a kimono. Or at least it's what it reminds me of, or yukata. Anyway, we find out that was a gift from Wilk, and you even pointed out during it, it's like, but isn't this precious to you? It's like, so are you, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like totally.
Yeah, like I that's the entire impression I got from the last flashback, was that he just saw her as a friend, and it was a one-sided love.
Yeah, exactly. And so we kept talking a little bit about like how like the man service and the stuff was insane and all the dick innuendos. The dick innuendos got really out of hand this episode. Like when you see Tanigaki just sitting like against a tree with a fucking mushroom.
Yeah. And it's an entirely serious situation too. Like they don't stop to laugh at it. They're just like, nope.
Just, okay.
Here's a dick.
Just, alright. And then there was another really cool bit when we see, like, the bandits, like, throwing rocks into towards the boat to try and gauge the distance.
Oh, yeah.
And then then the rock lands inside the boat. It's like, everybody get down!
Oh, yeah, that entire dream sequence,
yeah.
I don't know what to call it. Dream sequence is all I think of. Yeah.
With basically Incarnate being surrounded by the terrible CG bears, getting ready to take her to the afterlife.
Which those are probably like Ainu or Kamuy.
Yeah. And then I think that the bears have a very specific significance in Ainu culture. I'm pretty sure they brought it up at one point. I know that bears who eat humans are considered like evil gods and stuff like that.
I mean, they're just, bears are as significant as any other Kamuy, really.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think it was also, that the most hilarious part, again, this series' tendency to switch between comedy and serious shit on a dime. You see, like, Tanigaki show up, and basically his shirt busts open, and the power of his rocket abs fucking banish the evil bears.
Yeah, the buttons, like, flew off and banished the bears.
It's so ridiculous, but I absolutely love it.
It was a silly moment that meant, like, it meant so much to Inkarmat, just like that vision.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know what her endgame is, because, like, she seems to be falling for Tanigaki, but also she wants to be reunited with the man she used to love. It's like, what are you doing here? Yeah, exactly. The last bit, though, that I thought was super weird was we get a little bit of context, about as much context as this show is willing to provide for weird-ass shenanigans that Tsurumi does. When that private in the last episode, like, went back to Tsurumi, and basically, Tsurumi decides to just draw on his face. Yeah, so when he brought the pen up to his eye, I was like, oh, he's gonna stab him in the eye. Yeah. Because, like, we've already seen him do fucked up shit to, is it Nikaido?
I think so, yeah.
They just sort of, like, chopped off his ear.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But why? Why is he fucking, like, drawing, like, drawing two stick figures?
Tsurumi's crazy, okay?
I mean, But the thing is about Tsurumi, yeah, he's crazy, but there's usually a little bit of method to his madness. There's usually some kind of significance to the shit he does.
Well, sometimes he just does weird shit.
Yeah.
Because, he is missing a part of his brain, so...
Yeah. I kind of wonder, I thought about it a little bit, and this might be a huge stretch, but I think that Tsurumi was basically trying to say that these two things, the two moles might represent him and the private, and how they'll never meet each other because of the fact that the private screwed the fuck up. Again, yeah, I acknowledge that's a huge stretch.
It's just a theory.
It is a really huge stretch, but I don't know. I think there's a little bit more significance than what the show was trying to play off as something that was pretty fucking goofy. Because everybody else was playing up how big a tragedy it was, except for what's-his-face. He's just what the fuck am I doing with these people? Yeah. There's always that one guy who's
really learn his name.
I feel bad because he's just around.
Yeah.
I think, the show doesn't really care about him all that much. He's just
he's a straight man.
He's surrounded by a bunch of idiots.
Going back to when they're in the forest, Asirpa's running by, and then Sugimoto, grabs her and holds her, holds her down to hide her. When the guy was, when he was doing the clicking noises and then looking around, he's like, I smell blood. Mm-hmm. That scene reminded me of Jurassic Park.
Oh my god!
I think it was the first one. Yeah, when the raptor kind of leans down and looks around the corner.
Yeah, that was such a tense moment. This whole episode really just kind of nailed the sort of tense atmosphere. At the same time of being completely fucking ridiculous. When you're trying to create suspense and stuff like that, a good part of it is atmosphere. You're basically trying to build up as much of a stressful situation as possible. And this nailed it, when they weren't whacking people in the back of the head with sticks.
I also want to call out that when they had him trapped in the house,
mm-hmm.
they didn't need to rush in there.
Yeah.
They could have waited until it was a lot brighter outside. They could have surrounded the house.
Yeah.
They could have maybe knocked some holes in, they kind of, I feel like Sugimoto was we need to go in now or they're going to get away.
No, that was Ogata who had brought that up.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Ogata brought up that he, that if we go back to get our guns, they're going to run away.
Yeah, well, they could have just had one guy go back and get the guns and one guy stay behind.
I don't know.
It was a cool scene, nonetheless. They had the point where...
The caltrops.
Yeah, Sugimoto used the water chestnuts.
Yeah.
As actual caltrops, and then... some really cool animation. We stabbed the guy and twisted and threw him over his shoulder.
Yeah, I think what we brought up earlier about the whole foreshadowing thing in Index, and they actually did that here as well with the whole water.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's didn't ancient ninjas use this as caltrop? And Shirpa's what are ninjas?
Yeah, and then Hijikata shows up. And I'm assuming they're going to recruit the blind bandits onto their side.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Because one thing I noticed is that the blind bandits robbed a bunch of people. They robbed a bunch of Ainu, but they never actually killed anyone yet.
Yeah.
So I feel like narratively that leaves a little room for them to be redeemed.
Yeah. And there's a little bit more credence to that when Anji says something to the effect of... Sugimoto reminds me a lot of a young Hijikata back when I first met him. Fierce as a demon, but somehow also kind. And I think that makes a little bit of sense. It kind of makes me wonder if they're trying to allude to the two of them being related or some shit, which I don't think so. I doubt it, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised. It's oh yeah, by the way, I'm actually related to you somehow. I don't know. So now let's talk about IRODUKU. I was a little bit worried at the beginning of this episode because we start off with Hitomi and Asagi sort of being mopey and stuff at each other and not really talking to each other. And I was worried, oh god, are we going to do this the whole episode? Because because we usually see that kind of thing in these types of shows, the whole love triangle, one girl, these two girls who are best friends or good friends or whatever, they realize they like the same guy, so they kind of they get angry at each other or sort of start to grow distant. And they kind of spend an episode or many episodes kind of moping on that front. Here, they resolved it in the first 15 minutes. Which
it went pretty well too.
Yeah, no, exactly. We keep talking about it in this show, how every the situations and stuff are all relatable. They kind of know the tropes they're playing with, but they know them well enough to kind of play with audience expectations as well. Because I was expecting this to be an entire episode of them, like, until they eventually reconcile. It's like, oh, I love you so much, it'll be, like, it's okay, blah, blah, blah. But no, they resolved it in, like, 10, 15 minutes, and they just were able to spend the rest of the episode focusing on other stuff.
Yeah, it carried on from the previous episode pretty well, because, like, it was pretty heavily alluded that Asagi, well, I mean, we knew that Asagi was upset about the fact that Sho liked Hitomi.
Yeah.
But it was also alluded a few times that Asagi was very upset at herself
Yeah.
for being mad at Hitomi.
And she even said that, like, I shouldn't be mad at Hitomi, like, I feel so pathetic, stuff like that. I mean, of course, they had, like, a few awkward situations, like Hitomi actually doing the weird weather we're having, right?
How about that weather?
Yeah, it's just like, weather's bad.
Lots of Hitomi, like, trying to get through to her.
But then finally, and then, like, the two of them getting a little bit at odds, and then Sho, being the idiot he is, like, did something happen between those two? Hit, like, just Karumi and Kohaku's faces when they look at him, it's like, really, dude?
Yep.
Really?
Way to be that guy.
Yeah, just, God, you're so fucking clueless. But then, it was really cool, though, to just see this kind of resolve, and just, eventually, Hitomi just, like, going up to her and just saying, I'm sorry. Like, and the two of them saying, you know, I'm sorry too, just, and they both said, hey, actually, before even, like, really getting deep, it's just like, you want to go get something sweet? Just, again, like, the whole, oh, we're girls, we're upset, and we're gonna get, like, ice cream and just talk about our feelings and shit.
I think it was a good narrative note, because it was eating something sweet while talking about a very bitter topic. So that was a cool little, it was a cool scene.
I liked how they were able to just, and then how they just wanted to move past this in the first part of the episode, and then just to show how much bygones were bygones, immediately Asagi says, let's go do karaoke with the rest of the girls. Just sort of like wanting to put water under the bridge. It was such a nice way to resolve it.
Very heartwarming part of the episode.
It was just a good way to handle this kind of plot points in a kind of novel way. Especially
because there's only like a few episodes left. Like, if they spend too much time on that, I don't feel like they could have wrapped up the story well enough.
And then the next major part of this episode was just Kohaku realizing, oh, the Culture Club's coming up. You know, the Magic Club should do something too. I know. Let's invite people to go into the pictures with us.
That sounds really, like, it worked out, but it just sounds really sketchy. Because, like, I don't know.
Sketchy.
I don't know how much I'd trust going into a painting with magic. Like, what if I get stuck? And, like, they said, like, no, it's 100% safe. We practice it.
Yeah.
And they showed Hitomi
do it in a montage.
Yeah. but, like, as an outsider, I don't know if I'd trust that. I mean, I probably would, just because it sounds like too much fun to... but I'd definitely be a little apprehensive about it.
I agree. Like, and I think that in this world, since magic's a lot more commonplace, people kind of just accept it and realize that, yeah, mages probably put a lot of practice into stuff like this, which I think is a pretty, a good thing about a setting like this when magic is just commonplace.
Yeah.
Like, people...
Well, I mean, like, speaking of being commonplace, like, this seems so, from all the magic we've seen so far, this seems like the most spectacular.
Yeah, the most fantastical. Yeah,
because it's like literally just going into another world, as opposed to like, this dust will create a little fireworks show or whatever. It's mostly been like cosmetic magic.
Yeah, I think what was also interesting is like earlier, like Kohaku like got people to go inside the a picture.
The castle.
Yeah, the picture from her school, England. Yeah, and then but now Hitomi was of course it's England, but Hitomi actually manages to bring people into the drawing, and Kohaku says something to the effect of you have the ability to like touch the heart of the artist, so I'm sure this magic will be your specialty, which to me sounds like a very roundabout way of Kohaku saying Yuito likes you. So, of course, you're going to be close to him.
Wingman Kohaku.
Yeah, of course. Kohaku is the best. She's easily my favorite character in this show. And we get to see a little bit more of Yuito, like, it's like, okay, we need to get a drawing. Everybody in the freaking club just looks expectantly at Yuito.
I want this, and this, and this, and this.
Yeah, it'd be so... And Asagi, of course, saying, it'd be cute if we had a bunny rabbit park. It's like, damn it, Asagi. And I love during, like, the whole training montage of Hitomi practicing the magic. One of the paper planes that she gets, the one that hits her in the face later, she opens it up. And then it says, good luck, Hitomi. And it just has a little bunny doodle. It's like, oh, it's from Asagi. That's actually kind of sweet. Because we see, like, in the background, her and Karumi just kind of, like, silently watching and saying, come on, do your best, sort of deal. Mm-hmm. But then we go into Yuito's drawing, which... Oh, by the way, before we go into that, like, the whole time they're practicing, they go into a very famous painting. Like, she's sending paper planes into a very famous painting. Like, I actually looked into what that painting was, but you've seen it. If you've watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, like, the scene where he just stares at it.
Yeah, it's pointillism, which is just taking individual dots of pigment and making a picture, which, holy crap, that sounds like a tedious way to go about it.
Yep.
Like, ugh, I wouldn't want to do that. But the name of it is A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of Le Grande Jatte by George Pierre Seurat, or however you pronounce his name.
That's a long name for a painting.
Yeah, A Sunday Afternoon of the Island of Le Grande Jatte. It's French, I imagine. But anyway, what was really cool about them going into the painting is Hitomi, like, saying, for the first time, I'm seeing the same colors as everyone else.
Yeah, that was a really cool point, because, like, normally it's her seeing everything in black and white and everybody else seeing it in color, so she never, like, sees things. Because they made a point about that with the penguins.
Yeah.
How she was really excited because one of the penguins was black and white, and then Asagi was like, yeah, it's black and white. You're literally seeing this penguin just like everybody else is.
Oh, that's right. I'd almost forgotten about that. But what was also really interesting is in the painting when, or drawing or whatever you want to call it, you see the, when she's looking at everybody else, like she sees the painting like normal, but then when she's looking at everybody else, they're in monochrome. I thought that was a nice little detail.
Yeah, that was a little jarring. I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was when I was looking through it again, I saw that part, I was like, wait a second. And then I rewound it, and I'm like, oh, I get it, because, okay, that makes sense. It was actually a clever little detail. Then we get the more feelsy part of the episode.
Yeah, it was... I think he was somehow seeing into Hitomi's heart. Like how Hitomi went into
his heart, pretty much.
So it was also... He was led there by the same fish that led her to see more about him. So, like, they're somehow connected by this one drawing that he made when he was in kindergarten or first or third grade.
The golden fish.
Yeah. So that was a really, really cool scene. Mm-hmm. Just seeing him talk to little Hitomi, and Hitomi kind of... What was the drawing of? Like her and... It was
a princess and a queen. The queen was crying, and they were forever separated by a river. And it was actually really kind of heartbreaking about this scene was you see, like, a little Hitomi, like, she just seems, like, very distant and not really imaginative and anything, because every time he tries to, like, say, you can get over it. And so he's like, take a bridge. And she's like, no. And then he decides to kind of start playing with, like, imaginary stuff. Like, why don't you fly a bird across? It's like, it won't work. How about a rainbow bridge? Won't work. Just the fact that she's become so kind of jaded and cynical for somebody who's so young. And again, because it represents, we find out it represents her and her mom.
Oh, yeah, because her mom couldn't use magic, but she could use magic, and I'm assuming her mom just probably got, like, jealous and upset about that.
Yeah.
So she just, like when you have something your entire family, all your ancestors and everyone else in your family can do, and then suddenly you can't do it, even if someone's like, oh, that's okay, don't worry about it, like, that,
it still has to hurt.
Yeah, that's gotta be really hard to deal with.
Which, yeah, when I watched this scene again, at first, like, when she was kind of explaining, like, the whole situation, like, to Yuito, at first I thought the exposition was a little clunky, but then I thought about it. Not really, because it was basically just her explaining what we, the audience, had already seen. Like, they had already kind of done, like, a bit of a visual storytelling with the whole, like, Hitomi as a little girl and, like, her drawings, like, all this stuff, and just that was just her, like, putting it into perspective and just trying to explain it to not only the audience, but also just, again, maybe herself and Yuito a little bit. Yeah, just giving some context.
It was actually a pretty big deal that she told him about it, because earlier on, when Hitomi took a journey into Yuito's heart, for lack of better explanation, Yuito was very upset when she confronted him about it, and without being confronted about it, or I guess Yuito did ask her about it a little bit, she didn't get mad at him. Yeah. She just sat there and explained everything to him.
And but the scene when she's just kind of talking about it, and then Yuito is just trying to comfort her and just saying, like, about how what her mom did was kind of wrong and stuff like that. Like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the "It's Not Your Fault" scene from Good Will Hunting, because like when he starts trying to explain it, like, she's basically fighting the explanations that she's put into her head for all these years, and she knows on some level, it's not my fault, but it still feels like it is.
She's put herself into, like, a pit of guilt. Yeah. And
it's kind of hard to face that.
Yeah, if she feels like if she denies that her mom, if she blames her mom, she feels like it's going to make her into a bad person.
Yeah, exactly.
Where Yuito's trying to kind of nail that into her head. Yeah. But it doesn't. Like, her mom was the bad person for leaving her. No matter how bad she felt that she couldn't use magic, that's literally no excuse to leave your child alone.
Which, we don't, like, again, we don't know the entire story. Like, we don't even, it seems a little bit late in the game to introduce her mom, like, as a character, because it's not like a Kotura-san. You watch Kotura-san, right?
Is it the, like, mind reading?
Yeah, mind reading girl.
I watched a bit of it, yeah.
Okay, so towards the end, her mom comes back and they have a strained relationship, and they actually learn how to kind of reconcile a little bit. Like, they don't get it perfect, but they put steps in the right direction, and we understand a little bit more of the mom and why she left in the first place and stuff like that.
But it's episode 10.
So we only have a couple episodes of this. I thought of something, like, how are they going to resolve this? Because Hitomi asks, ultimately, what was I brought here to do? Like, why am I here, sort of deal. It makes me wonder if she knows that her mom can't do magic, and if she tells, like, her grandparents and stuff, maybe they'll be able to get her to help that in the future.
Like, maybe. I don't want that to be a thing. I don't want her to come back and talk to people and then, like, change the future or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's what the show is about, really. I think it's more about Hitomi changing herself and not changing her life. Yeah. Like, again, just trying to live more in the moment, not let the worries of the future or the things of the past sort of weigh you down. The problem with her mother, like, it actually doesn't affect her. I mean, like, it affects her because of what she remembers, but her mom's not actually alive right now where she's at. That's true. Because Kohaku's daughter. Yeah, Kohaku is still a teenager. Yeah, but if it does change the future, I can certainly see Kohaku trying to maybe be a better mom, or like I don't know if she was a bad mom, but she looks like she'll definitely try to raise her daughter better. Yeah, I imagine so that Hitomi doesn't go through the same kind of bad shit. I still think that Yuito drew the children's book that Hitomi remembers so. Yeah, I definitely think that's. I'm calling that right now. Like, we've got 2 episodes. We'll hopefully get that confirmation soon. So next up is JoJo Golden Wind. I love that stand. It's so cool. Or Narantia's. Aerosmith? Yeah. Or Little Bomber? Yeah, Little Bomber. It's so fucking stupid. I love how, like, they've been doing the opening the whole time. I love how he uses his arms as a runway. Yeah, it's such a cool little flare. It is. It's so unnecessary, but then again, so is most of the stuff in JoJo. Most of the shit's totally unnecessary. It just looks cool. Yeah. It's pretty badass. And there's just a lot of little subtle details, like at the beginning, like Narantia slowly figuring out, it's like, holy crap, I'm shrinking. Like, his shoe is just a little bit too big for his foot. At first, he doesn't recognize it at first. But then he's like, wait, my shoe's too big. This isn't my knife. Yeah, this isn't my car. Yeah. What the fuck? We had a really interesting perspective for this episode, because it's usually the hero. Well, we also had the hero trying to learn about the enemy stand, but we also had the enemy trying to learn about the hero stand.
Okay, I noticed the exact same thing. That is actually a really cool way of going about it, because, yeah, in the past, it's mostly been, oh, there's an enemy stand. How do we figure out how the enemy stand works, and how do we learn to counter it? Here, it's just sort of the enemy trying to figure out the hero's stand and trying to survive. Although, it does kind of bring up a good question. If Formaggio had the ability to make himself grow at any time, why didn't he? Like, ever? Like, why didn't he just make himself big and not have to worry about Narancia trying to kill him at all? It just seems like a little...
I don't know. Probably he might have been panicking because he was being chased by an airplane that was trying to shoot him.
I don't know. He seemed to think of it pretty quickly when he was in the sewer later.
Dramatic suspense, okay?
Again, it's not enough. It's not enough to make me hate JoJo, or anything like that. I think, but at the same time, JoJo has always had sort of like inconsistent writing. It's always been enjoyable, but inconsistent.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Formaggio, really appreciate him just narrating to us how his stand works, even out loud.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a good thing that I had the pen, and I can use my stand to make the pen bigger, to launch myself away.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you, Formaggio. Now I know how your stand works.
Which, that actually brings up another good question. When he does that, wouldn't it bring the pen to its full size, and wouldn't a full-size pen fucking go through Narancia's tiny-ass hand? Like, and fucking dismember him or some shit?
Yeah, right? Because he said, like, return to size.
Yeah, return to their normal size. And, like, why?
Maybe it's because it was the normal size compared to what Narancia is holding on to. I
don't know though. It's a little.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. It was kind of like the stand where the guy was locking things in place.
Oh yeah,
but it was being locked in place while on top of a truck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that happened a few episodes ago. I mean, again, JoJo's is totally fucking insane and ridiculous and not always consistent with how it handles its writing, but Araki is able to basically do, like, sleight of hand well enough to make you forget about it and suspend your belief enough.
So we got introduced to, probably it's going to be the main antagonist of this arc.
The Hitman team.
Yeah.
Which, originally, there were, 9 of them? Or 7 of them or something?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 7?
Yeah,
7.
I think it was 7. And I just want to point out, one of the guys is named Pesci.
Yeah, like Joe Pesci.
I was wondering, is that a reference to Joe Pesci, or is it
like Goodfellas?
Yeah, but there's also brings up this question. Like, most of the time, they're named after, like, Italian foods. Like, there are 2 guys who are named Gelato and Sorbet. So, and I think Narancia is supposed to mean orange. Like, I think it's the Italian word for orange. Because I know abbacchio is supposed to mean lamb. Like, kind of a lamb dish. So, it makes me wonder if Pesci, like, is supposed to be, like, an Italian word for fish or something.
I know it's an Italian name.
Yeah, it's definitely... Because, again, Joe Pesci. It makes me wonder if that was its namesake. Or
Funny how!
Now,
Well, go watch Goodfellas.
Yeah, go watch Goodfellas. That's a really good movie. I could kind of, like, when we actually get introduced to the Hitman team, I could kind of foresee what was going to happen when Formaggio shrunk a car and then just dropped it in that guy's drink.
Yeah, the old sedan roofie.
Yeah, sedan roofie.
Like, that was, oh man, I just imagining the feeling of...
Like something slowly just expanding in your stomach.
Yeah, because, like, I've had gas, which is absolutely, like, painful when you have, like, gas that feels like your stomach's gonna explode.
Yeah.
Like, I've had that before, but oh god! I also love that even like they even got the girl as well because she was just comedically close to him. And it's like
smash.
It's like that was very campy.
Yeah, I knew that he was going to get fucking explode from the car. I did not expect him, his wife to fucking die in the crossfire.
Yeah,
but then. This is interesting. We get introduced more to the members of the Hitman team after Formaggio does the job and they're talking about getting their money and stuff. Interesting to note, I did not know that Passione hired ghouls because one of the guys, I think the leader of the Hitman team, I don't think we know his name yet, the guy with the purple hair and
like demon eyes.
Yeah, those are like ghoul eyes in Tokyo Ghoul. They have because in Tokyo Ghoul, ghouls are typically identified by having black scleras and red pupils or red irises. So yeah, I was like, okay, I did not know that Passione hired ghouls. I think you're in the wrong show.
I didn't even bat an eye, really, because it's all the, like, ridiculous people in this series, like, Pulpo, and then last season you had, what's his name? The guy who had Harvest? Shigechi. Shigechi, yeah. He just had, like, spiky head. Yeah. And you had, like, alien guy, and... like,
except he looked somewhat normal.
For just the series always puts in like just ridiculous looking characters and then doesn't talk about it.
Another ridiculous looking character is freaking Pesci. Like, what is up with his head? It looks like
he looks like fucking King Hippo.
Yeah, he kind of does. It looks like he's a fucking banana or something, or a palm tree, because his hair's even green.
Yeah.
But
also they're like, oh yeah, let's go catch a soccer match. Why the fuck did they call it soccer when they're in Italy?
I don't know.
You can't even blame it on being a Japanese dub because they don't call it soccer in Japan either.
What do they call it in Japan? I don't think they call it football.
Wait, do they call it soccer? Am I going to be like an idiot?
They might call it soccer in Japan. Like it's sort of like the whole thing with Mista's fear of the number 4. It doesn't really make sense because he's not Japanese, but in Japan, yeah, 4 is very similar to death.
Alright, okay, so I am an idiot.
Okay.
So the official English name of the Japan Football Association used the term football. The term saka, derived from soccer, is much more commonly used than futeboru.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I guess that does make a little bit of sense.
Alright, yeah. I'll just fucking contradict exactly what I just said.
Well, we didn't know. Hey, we can contradict ourselves just kind of like Araki does, because he just sort of does it. But anywho, we actually get a pretty fucked up execution, though.
Yeah, that was such, like they say in the show, that's a really intense way to die.
I mean, they didn't need to say that, but they could have just shown, because it's like, hey, thank you for telling me exactly what I was thinking.
Just chopping up a guy from the toes up while he's alive.
Yeah. Ugh, while his lover, they actually have a canonically gay couple in this series now. Had. It's not like they were around for much. Yeah. We didn't even see them do anything. They were like, where are these two? Oh, they're a couple. They're probably getting it on somewhere, right?
I mean, they're getting something on.
Yeah, fucking dying.
Yeah.
But basically, we find out a little bit about the Hitman team. Their whole goal thing was they were trying to take over the boss's territory because they felt like they were getting fucking gypped. It's like, everyone else is getting way more money than us, but we're way better than everybody else, so why are we getting such a short end of the stick? So they tried to take over the boss's territory, and then they killed Gelato and Sorbet as, like, retaliation or punishment. And now that they know that the boss has a daughter, they're basically trying to use that as leverage. So hopefully probably to climb their way to the top, which that's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I mean, because even if they did somehow manage to get the boss's daughter, he's got how many other members in the organization that are loyal to him? Probably. Who's to say they wouldn't find them and take them the fuck down?
And also, we don't know how powerful the boss is.
Yeah, we don't know how powerful the boss is. We don't know how powerful his consigliere is. Nothing like that, because they're still, his consigliere.
I think it's consigliere.
Consigliere, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Italian for counselor, which again makes sense, but still, we don't know the rest of the power structure yet. We don't even know the abilities of the other capos.
So getting back to after that, I got back to the fight between Narancia and Formaggio. So he chased him through the sewers and everything, and he shot him full of holes, but he's like, "Oh, I grew in time, so it didn't hurt me." He still had a bunch of fucking bullet holes all over his body.
Yeah,
they were actual bullet-sized bullet holes. How is that not a problem for him? Maybe they just went skin deep. Yeah,
probably, because I mean, you have to remember when Narancia got cut. He was talking about, it's wait, the wound stopped bleeding? That's weird. I thought he cut me pretty deep. So.
That's because the cut.
Yeah, his skin had to get sort of compressed.
Yeah, but if he grows out, or if he grows, I don't know. Maybe it was
the bullets were supposed to be tiny at that point.
Yeah,
so
but they were black. big holes in his skin. So, like, maybe it's just an artistic choice.
But it
definitely looked like he had lots of lethal bullet holes.
They should have been, which, again, pretty cool way they figured out how his stand works. It was basically using sonar just by detecting how something breathes.
It wasn't sonar. It was just like a detecting O2.
Yep. Kind of like a mosquito, which is actually a pretty cool way of explaining it. They
always do a good job of explaining stuff like that in JoJo.
Yeah, even if it's completely fucking bananas. But yeah, we end the episode with Narancia still getting smaller. Formaggio is back to full size and isn't going to get hurt. So, how will he escape from this situation? We don't know. To be continued with a fucking arrow again. On to Karakuri Circus.
They can't keep getting away with this! They can't! It's just like so many times where they tell really, really good, interesting stories in the course of one episode. But it doesn't make any fucking sense to lead into the next episode. It's like, stop! Just make a good... Make a consistent story.
Yeah, the way that you said that kind of reminds me of Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. He can't keep getting away with it!
For reals, though, because the major part of the episode was the flashback to the original members of Shirogane.
The Bai brothers. Jean and Yin Bai.
The original creators of
Aquavitae, as far as we can tell.
Yeah, that's what it looks like they were leading
because the original creators of the Aquavitae, as well as the original creators of the Automata, so two opposing forces, which, again, that's probably going to be a thing later. We find out that the younger brother is the one who created the Automata, and basically made them what they are, and the older brother is the one that created Aquavitae.
Yeah, and his younger brother, I'm assuming, probably founded the Midnight Circus.
Probably.
Yeah.
I imagine he had to have been. Now, the first thing is, of course, Guy is still fucking alive.
Yeah.
Like, of course. They wasted no time revealing that. Like, I'm not even angry about it, just... Okay, of course he's still fucking alive.
Reunited with what it turned out it wasn't his sister. It was
just her teacher.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know, maybe I don't think Shirogane is so much a family as it is like a clan.
Yeah, I mean, Shirogane we've already established as a title for the people that hunt the automata. Like, because even Narumi has referred to himself as a couple times as a Shirogane.
Yeah, that's true.
So I also want to say that for Masaru, you're never too young to have a Vietnam flashback.
Oh yeah, he fucking wakes up cold sweat in the middle of the night.
Yeah, because of this fucking horrifying severed arm dream. It's like, and just like, I will say this, the show does a really good job of making like faces look twisted and
that's one of the best parts of this show.
Like, and just like indicating just how fucking terrified Masaru was. Just, oh my God, that was so good. But then he resolves to go find, he says, I can't keep running away from my issues. I have to go face them head on now. Which, again, I would have liked this arc of his a little bit more had we just spent more time with him kind of running away, just with him specifically, and just him slowly realizing that, yeah, he's running away from his issues, rather than constantly going back and forth between the Narumi story and then his story. Because we're running like two narratives that sort of link together, but
now we're running three because we're in a flashback now.
Oh God, yeah.
The episode ended on a flashback.
Yeah. And you actually pointed out, like, when you saw like the hills, it's like, are they in China?
Oh yeah, because those are like the exact same style of hills they use in Ranma.
Yeah,
and then like the ancient Chinese training ground or whatever.
Yeah, and that's where they find like the well of eternal life, supposedly, which they bring that up here too, because Narumi's old master contracted Zonapha syndrome and wanted to find a well that would cure all of his diseases. Which they introduce another character. We have no context for her. They just kind of hand wave it away. It's like saying, "Oh yeah, we met her in town. We found out about her father." It's like, it's like that would have been nice to see.
And this happened. It's like you just came in here and said, "And this happened." You didn't actually explain anything.
It's like that would have been nice to see,
yeah,
you know. But whatever. We get into the meat of the episode, which was just which was the whole flashback of the Bai brothers. How we meet essentially the reincarnations or at least the predecessors to both Shirogane, aka Eleonora, and Narumi, because you gotta love that convenience gene.
Yeah, they look literally exactly the same.
It's like, hi, not Narumi, hi, not Eleonore. Just
down to the Shirogane, the Eleanor having white short hair.
Yeah, exactly.
For convenient plot reasons, because she sold it.
Yeah, no kidding. Which, I mean, I don't know. That little bit actually reminded me a little bit of Les Miserables. I just want to go on record and say I fucking hate that movie, but there's a part in it where Anne Hathaway's character, she loses her job, and so she starts selling various pieces of her body for money. Like, at first it's like her hair, then it's her teeth.
Yeah, okay.
And then eventually she just becomes a full-on prostitute. So I wonder if that was actually a thing. Like, it's weird, but I don't know. Maybe. And then, I don't know, Eleonore or Francine here, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
In case we didn't know that she was fucking French, by the way. Even though they're in Prague, which is in the Czech Republic.
Is it?
Yeah, I think Prague, I'm almost certain Prague is in the Czech Republic, or I guess in the ancient time, or around the time that this flashback occurred, that would have been Czechoslovakia.
All right. Well, if you're wrong, I'm sure someone will be happy to tell you.
Yeah. It's not like people say dumb shit on the internet and are immediately corrected or something. But no, if I'm wrong, I'm totally okay with that. But it actually did bring up a good question. Is Prague actually the home to alchemy? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I don't really know much about
alchemy and how its origins and stuff like that and how it came to be. Yeah, it's fascinating, but I don't know. It wasn't fascinating enough for me to look into it a little bit more, apparently.
I know it was like the predecessor to science.
Yeah, exactly.
Much, modern sciences.
But I also want to point out that it's interesting how the girls who had a crush on Jean, the younger brother, they referred to Francine as a thief. Like, again, foreshadowing, because we thought it's like, oh, she's a thief because of the whole, oh, he's stealing us away, like the whole jealous girl is like, oh, she's a thief because she's stealing him away from us or some shit, without us actually making a move. But no, she turns out later to be literally a thief.
Yep. I mean, technically a thief, in the most technical terms.
Yeah, I mean, she, again, referring back to Les Mis, Jean Valjean went to prison for years just because he stole a loaf of bread for his family. And
so the scene that she stole an egg for definitely felt really, like, overly dramatized. They're like, if there was a kid dying, he was dying, he had the dying disease. Yeah. So she had to go get an egg to save him. And this one egg would have saved him, but no, she couldn't get the egg to him, so he died.
Yeah. I will say though, barring that, like, barring the explanation to how she was a thief, it was actually a kind of nice scene when it's like, let's go get your bread back. But then he sees just like the old couple just kind of eating bread together and kind of crying because, you know, that's what she does. She just feeds like the poor people. And it's actually a kind of a nice little bit of, I say it before, I'll say it again, visual storytelling, because you kind of just know a little bit without them having to explain it. Like, there's context already set up, and then you see like the effects of those consequences. It's nice. I like it when they do stuff like this. But I don't like the whole jealous younger brother angle they're doing here.
Why is that?
Because, I don't know, like, we haven't really spent a whole lot of time with Jean as a character. Like, and so we don't really, like, again, so it just seems like a little bit, like, rushed, like how they're rushing this plot point. And, let me see, I actually
don't feel like this part is rushed. I feel like it's appropriately paced for a short story.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's pretty much what they're telling, is a short story of the origin of everything.
Yeah. Or I guess is it Yin or Jean? I keep forgetting.
Which one are you talking about?
The younger brother. The younger brother was getting jealous about the older brother. Like, I mean, and I get it to an extent, because it's like, I was in love with her first sort of deal. I mean, that's relatively common. But, I don't know, I think that the whole romance subplot between the older brother, I'm going to keep screwing up the name, so I'm just going to refer to them as the older and younger brothers from now on. The older brother kind of falling immediately in love with Francine. I would have appreciated it a little bit more had because his whole focus throughout most of this episode is, oh, we need to perfect our alchemical skills and stuff like that. But then when he saw like what Francine was doing, his perspective changed. I think it should have been a gradual build-up to him falling in love with her, rather than just almost like immediately, I want to marry you. Because his whole thing was, I'm going to give up alchemy completely now that I'm in love with you, rather than...
No, it wasn't. It was, he wanted to shift his focus of how he was going to use alchemy.
Well,
instead of doing it to just for his own self, he wanted to shift his focus of alchemy to helping other people.
Well, that's not what he said.
Yeah, that's literally what he said.
Well, no, when he was talking with Francine, it was a little bit different. It's like, what about your alchemy? It's like, forget it. I don't care about it anymore.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
Now, again,
I mean, it's obvious that's not what happened.
I mean, yeah, like, I don't know. I guess there's a little bit of a narrative contradiction, like what was said earlier and is kind of contradicted by something said later, because I like the idea. It would have been a little bit interesting had that whole, I wish to get the world rid of all the world's diseases. That makes sense, because that's what Aquavitae does. It takes away diseases. Every single disease. So that makes sense. And it could have been an interesting little bit, like of, I don't know, even Francine working with him or trying to help him understand it or something.
That's probably going to be more of next episode.
Maybe. It just, for me, it felt a little rushed. Like, I wasn't a big fan of just, like, how the younger brother was sort of just like, oh, I'm gonna kill my brother now, pretty much.
He never really said he was gonna kill him. He was just, after he heard his older brother, like, confess, it just showed him there, like, really pissed off and frustrated. Like, I don't imagine he's gonna immediately go to murder. It's probably just gonna escalate into murder.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit not a huge fan of the whole, like, jealous brothers or jealous friends, like, subtype. Like, oh, we both like the same girl. I'm gonna kill you because if I can't have her, nobody can, sort of deal. Or I'm gonna kill both, or I'm gonna kill the girl. I imagine that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna kill Francine first.
Probably an accident.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be like him trying to kill his brother, and then he kills her, and then he has to make Aquavitae so she can live.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Maybe. But I don't know. Like, I've ranted a little bit about this. What did you think about this episode?
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean...
I think it was a very well-told short story. Or at least half of a short story.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I thought it was an interesting concept, and we're finally getting a little bit more context for some of the other things. Like, I think the idea of these two brothers, like, making basically the two driving forces of the story now, the Aquavitae and the Automata, I think that's interesting. I think that's cool. But there's just a little thing I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the opposite fence of what you said. I think it was a very well, what's the word? I thought it was very well paced. Didn't have any complaints about it. I think they're telling it in my opinion, the perfect space of what a short story should be.
Yeah.
But moving on from that,
mm-hmm.
The episode ended on like a cliffhanger.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, next episode we're probably just, gonna get all the resolution of that short story.
Yeah, maybe. Like, I hope so, because I don't want people to think that I dislike the show. I like it. Me personally, I have problems with it.
So, next show is Run with the Wind.
So, first things first, did you know that, I didn't think that doctors still did house calls. Is that more common in Japan?
I don't know.
Because the first thing that we get is a doctor showing up for a house call to check up on Haiji. And so I'm just like, because here in the States, I almost never hear of doctors doing house calls, like, ever.
Yeah, it's really only with, like, private practices.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, maybe you just never hear it because you've never had to do it. Like, I imagine not many people would hear about someone else doing a private house call for a doctor.
Yeah, I guess so. But that was just the first thing I noticed. I'm like, is that more common in other countries than it is here? It was just a little weird thing, but that's not really the focus of the episode.
Yeah. It quickly becomes apparent just how much work Haiji was doing for everybody.
Yeah. Like how he's cooking all the meals and stuff for them, and how, like, basically everybody starts to realize how kind of like, hopeless they are without him. Yeah,
it's really easy to just kind of pass that kind of thing away in most anime of like, oh yeah, they're making meals for everybody, they're happy about it, mm-hmm. they're doing tons of work, but it's fine because it's for their friends. Like, no, this is a little more realistic take on it. Like, no human being can do all that.
Yeah, because Haiji was not only setting the practice schedules, he was also cooking everybody's meals, he was also doing all the clerical stuff, like setting up track meets and talking with people and all that fun shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it was way too much work just for one guy. Like, I thought that was actually just, again, everybody just kind of bringing it up. But then they decide, okay, if Haiji's out of the picture for now, we need a vice captain. Asking everybody on the team, hey,
almost everybody.
Yeah, because they actually completely ignored King, which was actually a little hilarious bit because like King's all like, yeah, you're gonna ask me. It's like, Kakeru, how about you? And then he's like, wait, what about me? It's like, there's no way you'd do it. Yeah, I still want to be asked.
That's the most unhumble thing you could do.
Yeah, like I want to be asked, and so I can deny people. Which, to be fair, like I can kind of get that sense.
Yeah, like I understand, but when you like ask for it, then you just look like a tool.
Yeah, like as somebody who's introverted, like this kind of relating to that, like I still like to be invited to places even if I know I'm not going to be going.
Yeah,
like,
everybody does.
Yeah, it's just like, well, I appreciate the invite, but I'm going to have to decline because I don't really feel like interacting with people today. Yeah. But anyway.
So the Jiro and Taro, I think their name is?
Jiro and Jota, I think. Wait.
I think it's Taro. But those two were like, oh yeah, we don't know how to cook. He's like, I only know how to make ochazuke, which I looked it up, so I was like, oh, okay, I wonder what that is. It turns out it's literally just you cook rice, you put it in a bowl, and you pour tea over it. And then you put like, usually it's served with like fish or stuff, but he's like, I only know how to make plum ochazuke, which is, I mean, I imagine just pouring tea over rice and then putting sour plums on it. Like,
yeah, or even plum tea, maybe? I don't know. Is that a thing?
Probably.
Yeah, there's gotta be, because there's acai berry tea, for God's sake.
But like, the pickled plums is what it is in Japan.
Oh, it's
pickled plums are eaten with a lot of dishes.
Okay, that's fair. I also like how the meat of this episode was mainly just Kakeru and Prince trying to resolve their differences, which if this fan base if this series attracts the same fan base that Haikyuu is, I see a ship incoming. Just
same artist, right?
What?
Same artist?
Same studio? That's producing it. Yes. Okay. So
they have like the same angled faces. It looks like.
Yeah. Which I've actually heard Haikyuu is really good. I mean, and some people would say that it's really good.
It's just got one of those, like, barrier of, like, people surrounding it where you're like, I mean, I kind of want to get through there, but there's a lot of people in line, so I'm just gonna... I'll come back later.
You know what? Maybe after the hype for this has died down a little bit, because, but I think that this episode mainly just focused on Prince and Kakeru, like, Kakeru realizing that Prince has no form, actually seeing that for the first time.
Because he never looked at Prince, really.
Yeah. I mean, and Haiji brought that up later. It's like, I don't blame you. You were dealing with your own problems. But yeah, Prince has always been kind of wanting you to acknowledge him. And you can't, what was the exact quote? I wrote it down and I liked it. It was...
No, keep taking up our valuable viewers' time. No, don't worry. Yeah, just keep it.
All right. Okay, basically it was just you can't see everybody else if everybody is constantly behind you. Like, obviously, like that goes not just for Prince but for everybody on the team. Like, and that actually kind of put it in perspective for him. Like, because Kakeru and Prince are talking with each other. Like, and it's just like the whole try running it or try talking at my pace or whatever.
Try going at my speed.
Yeah, and then just Print and fucking Kakeru realizing, all right, I need to actually try and get through to him somehow.
Yeah, there was a lot of growth in this episode for Prince and Kakeru because Kakeru finally realized that he when every time that Kakeru takes a step back and looks at everything, mm-hmm. he seems to kind of have like a moment of realization. Yeah. In this episode where he stayed back with Prince when he was running, and the whole thing of try running at my speed, which was led to a really heartwarming episode. Yeah, because it all started off with Kakeru going into Prince's room and saying, like, "Can I borrow some comics?"
Yeah, because, and by the way, the quote is, "Until you turn around, you'll never see them from where you are." Like he's referring to everybody, and I think that's what a majority of the series is going to be going forward, because I think it's going to be Kakuryu trying to connect with the rest of his teammates, actually get to know them on a more personal level. Because I think that was a big issue, like back when he ran in high school, like he was always focused on going fast and not really paying attention to his teammates and kind of leaving everybody else behind in the dust, and sometimes unintentionally making them suffer. But I think now he's actually trying to get acquainted and actually know his teammates on a not superficial level.
More than just business.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's trying to know them on a more personal level. And there was a little bit of a fun detail when you see like the two of them reading comics. You see like gradually the two of them are turning the pages more and more in sync. And at the end of the montage, you actually see them turn the pages at the same time.
Yeah, which was that was a callback to, I think it was 2 episodes ago, or right in the last episode, where Prince was explaining to Haiji about manga, and it's just like, it's not like running, but we end up getting together, and we end up connecting, and eventually we get to a point where our hearts are all connected, and we're all turning the page at the same time.
Oh, yeah,
so that was right. That was just a literal callback to what Prince said earlier.
That's right. That's a really that was a really good point. And during the whole training montage, they just kind of realized that, Prince, he runs that way because his hands are almost always put in a reading pose. And so it's like, we don't have to really do like sweeping motions or anything, but I still want to make him keep his arms in place. So here, hold on to these manga.
Which it was crazy seeing Prince run like an actual person.
Yeah, rather than just going, and like him actually tying his hair back to get it out of his face and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a really good artistic choice. It's because it's always nice when you see a personality shift combined with like an appearance shift.
Yeah, and that's actually a pretty common thing, I think, in Japan anyway. When a character like undergoes some kind of like huge change, like they usually cut their hair as a form of symbolism. The biggest example of that was in Tales of the Abyss, when main character cuts his hair after some huge incident and he completely turns his life around.
I mean, like, if you want to go way back, like Naruto.
Oh yeah,
when Sakura like was getting her hair pulled back and she cut her hair, and then back when she was an interesting character.
Yeah, I really don't know because I never really watched Naruto growing up. But then the last bit of the episode was surprisingly triumphant for something that was so underwhelming.
Oh yeah,
because he managed to break 30 minutes finally.
Which I think that was the cutoff to get an official record.
Yeah.
Like, you had to finish under 30 minutes to get an official time.
Yeah.
At least I'm assuming that's what it was.
I think that was more just of a step of just Prince realizing that, okay, I can do this now. Like, and he can only, like, improve from this point forward. Like, I don't think he'll ever be as fast as anyone else. I think he's still just got that inherent disadvantage at his disposal, but...
Yeah, I really hope they don't just make it like, oh, he had this hidden potential. Like, that doesn't feel like the kind of show this is.
No.
I don't think they're going to do it, but...
I think in the, in the intro, like, you see, like, all of them kind of running together, like, in the silhouettes, and you see, like, everybody sort of... You can kind of make out who everybody is just based on their outline. Like, you see, like, King, like, he's got his, like, kind of hunched down, like, sort of running pose. And I think, like, kind of, like, towards the back is Prince. Like, I can almost guarantee it is, but I mean, he's actually running rather than just fumbling. Mm-hmm. But this wasn't ultimately just a triumphant episode.
I was blown away when Prince was starting to struggle when he was running. He started looking at the ground. You just hear Kakuryu in the back, like, cheering for him, like, look forward! Look forward! And Kakuryu, who's about to break a record time, actually stops and jogs next to him.
Exactly.
Which is something he's never done for anyone throughout this entire series so far. And he stops next to him. He's like, "Come on, you gotta go. You gotta keep up. You gotta look forward." And Prince is just like, "Shut up!" And then you see him like finally just look up and just start like
the sort of like defiance.
Yeah,
it was a good moment. It was a good This was a good character building moment, and I actually am starting to, like, I'm looking forward to where the series is going. I almost can guarantee that it's going to be focusing on Kakuryu starting to connect with the rest of his team.
Yeah, I don't think the story is going to... I don't think the story is about the Hakone Ekiden. I think the story is about the journey to get there. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they never actually make it. To do it. Like, I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to see them all, like, rewarded for their efforts.
The intro would have you believe that they get to it because, like, you see them passing the baton.
Oh yeah,
I mean, at the end. But I don't, but maybe not. Maybe we won't see that.
So, did you notice the small detail in this episode?
What was it?
It was, Prince's shirt.
Oh, what was it? No, I didn't. I didn't.
So throughout this whole series, he's had, like, Y or tired or on his shirt. In this episode, before he actually learned about everything, his shirt said heart.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that was a cool little detail.
On to Gridman. So the biggest part of this episode is we pick up right where we left off with Akane. I'm fucking goddamn it! With Rika revealing to everybody that we're all creations of Akane, pretty much. Like everybody is, not just Rika.
Seeing Sho go through the thought process of like, wait, but we went there and I have family, and then he also thinks like, but what if that wasn't real?
Yeah, just like the, oh god, my life is a lie sort of thing. Which, it makes me wonder if all these things were just like things that Akane wanted to preserve at some point or another, or people that she remembered from whatever life she led before this, before she attained godlike power, she just wanted to try and keep up the illusion as much as possible. So she wanted to include people that she remembered, maybe. I don't really know. We don't really know, like, what Akane's endgame is here.
What we do know is that she's getting very distraught with this whole world.
Yeah, like, everything is just going wrong.
When she was sitting in a chair and Alexis came up behind her, and he's like, hurry up, make some more kaiju. And she's like, why am I even making kaiju in the first place anymore?
Yeah, she's just slowly slipping more and more into depression.
Because, like, what we were made to believe during the first half of the show was just, like, she just wanted to beat Gridman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or she wanted to erase inconveniences from her life. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of shifted into wanting to beat Gridman because he was in her way.
Yeah, and we actually get a really interesting moment when Akane's actually dreaming, we find out, but we basically, like, her, like, world and her mental state starting to disappear, like, and unfurl before her eyes. Like, she's just sitting in class, all of a sudden the people or one of the girls that she was supposed to have erased just shows up again. Like, oh my god, what is she doing here?
Mm-hmm. Which I didn't think it was a dream at first.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of...
it kind of felt like a dream whenever he started, like, reappearing randomly in the middle of the classroom.
Yeah, exactly. But this whole time was also just Auntie trying to realize what his purpose was. And you called it. I think everybody could have seen this coming. Auntie's a good guy now. Or possibly.
I wouldn't use the term good guy. I would say that he's currently transitioning into being the virile of this series.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it, because he does basically, he copies Gridman, like, it literally becomes Grid Knight.
Well, no, they said he copied him, and then they're like, no, he didn't just copy him, he became, like, the true version of what Gridman's supposed to be. Like, this is what full power Gridman's supposed to look like.
Ah, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
I think so. And they were talking about, like, they talked a little bit about how, like, Yuta, like, lost his memory, and how, like, apparently it was because of a battle before, like, he and Gridman had showed up in an incomplete state. Because Yuta was aware of Gridman's existence before the beginning of the series, and before he lost his memory. Like, or had used him at one point. But then something happened and made him lose his memory. Yeah,
and it's apparently, like, I think Caliber was trying to say it was, like, some kind of nerve gas that all the kaiju were making people lose their memories with.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a poison gas. And that also kind of makes sense when tiny, big kaiju girl took him out on the train, and then she's like, oh, it's the gas.
Yeah.
It's the gas that makes everyone lose their memories.
Yeah, it makes them go to sleep. And, yeah, that would make a lot of sense. The other thing about this episode, again, fight scene was pretty cool. The first fight scene was kind of lame, but that was kind of the point, because freaking Akane half-asses a kaiju.
Yeah, so you've never played Half-Life 2, right?
No, I haven't.
So I want to pull something up for you really quick.
Okay.
The doofy-looking kaiju, I heard it going like, and I was like, huh, that sounds really familiar. There's zombies in Half-Life 2, which, give it a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I turned my phone up. That sounded like... That's like almost exactly what the kaiju sounded like. I'm like, what the fuck?
I wonder.
Like this sample Half-Life 2 or something?
It'd almost be like if they had the kaiju and then it eventually did this. Yeah.
The Murloc sound. But yeah, that fight was pretty... Like, it was one and done because earlier Alexis was like, are you really fine with this?
Yeah, because she was half-assing it.
Yeah, and it turned into
some Voldo-ass fucking kaiju.
Yeah, which was a really interesting situation because Akane is just kind of like done with everything. Like, she just doesn't want it. I think she just wants everything to disappear at this point.
Yeah.
Because I think it was Auntie that pointed out that the kaiju that kind of busted out of it was Akane's heart.
Yeah.
Because it was Akane's true feelings and it went around just destroying all of the quote-unquote custodian kaiju. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's right. Because... Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
I absolutely loved the music choice they had. Because they just had Akane walking around the city and this thing going around, the big kaiju going around the background, cutting off the heads of all the custodians.
Yeah.
And they just had like this solemn, kind of chill piano music playing in the background the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have pointed out that Akane is just depressed pretty much, which, yeah, I could buy that. She's definitely depressed now. If she wasn't before, she's definitely showing it now.
Yeah, one problem I have is I think they're trying to paint Akane as kind of a sympathetic villain.
Yeah.
Which I'm not with that. Like she went around killing a bunch of people.
Yeah, she was a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, like I don't see her being able to fully redeem that. Unless they somehow bring everyone back to life.
I think so. I mean, maybe that's what they will do. We're still waiting for the fucking space fight, or at least fighting in the floating city. Like, I guarantee you that's going to be... It is a Trigger show, so fight the aliens.
Gotta go space, yeah.
Yeah.
When Auntie turned into
Gridnight,
that fight scene, I was like, please, Trigger, for Christmas, just let them combine. I want it so bad, Trigger. Please give it to me. It would be so dumb and so, like, stereotypical, but I want it so bad.
So, like an Ultra Gridman.
I'd be so excited if they play the opening, too.
That actually would be really cool.
Oh, my God.
But the big bomb that dropped this episode is Akane fucking stabbed Yuta.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. At all. Ever.
He tried to just go up to her, kind of grab her by the shoulders. And
he didn't go up to her. He was just standing there, and it looked like she kind of bumped into him to hug him.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as everything went quiet,
it's like, wait, what happened?
She stabbed him. She definitely stabbed him.
And then you see a fucking box cutter or whatever she's got in her hand, and he just falls over. Yeah, and hell of a place to end. So
yeah, they just cut it off right there.
Yeah, next episode.
No after credit scene or anything.
Yeah, next episode we're gonna be picking up with that. So, okay.
So next up is the hot topic of the week: Sword Art Online Alicization. Which, in the beginning of the episode, I was like, wait, is this Goblin Slayer?
Yeah.
And I had to check, oh, no, this is Sword Art.
Yeah.
It, showed the whole, warning, graphical content.
Yeah.
Movie.
As soon as... I basically was like, alright, as soon as they displayed the viewer discretion is advised because it includes it includes sexual assault and stuff, I knew exactly what this fucking episode was going to do.
Someone's getting raped.
Because we've seen it happen twice so far.
Yeah, with two major villains.
Yeah,
in the show.
And I was not at all surprised. Okay, we're really gonna pull this again. All right, let's see how we do this.
So just to call back, we had I don't remember his name.
Sugo.
Yeah, Sugo was when he was all rapey and licking Asuna all over the place.
And actually at one point tried to rape her.
And then we have the guy who likes Sinon.
Yeah, the guy who likes Sinon, who was one of the brothers who made up Death Gun.
Yeah, he was trying to rape her.
Yeah, and then of course Kirito saves the day because I saw this and I'm like, all right, so there's gonna be two cute girls, or there's gonna be a cute girl. In this case, there were two. Kirito's gonna show up and save the day from them being raped, pretty much, because Reki Kawahara does not know how to write plot devices like this.
All right. Ranting out of the way.
Okay.
I was just I expected, like, them to go in and maybe beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've seen people, like, be stabbed and cut in Sword Art before, but it's always been in virtual reality.
Yeah.
I mean, this is virtual reality, but it's more realistic.
Yeah.
We've always, like, because when he cut Sugo in half, it was just, like, a clean cut. There's no blood spurting out or anything.
Oh, here, there was, like, fucking torrents of blood.
Him using this scene, this trope, multiple times aside, I absolutely loved this scene because it played around with the ideas of Humbert, or it was, I don't know. It was
Rios.
Rios, he's like, you literally can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you physically can't stop me because the laws of this world, I can do this. Like, it's, the laws say I'm a noble, so I can punish her in any way I want. And
which is fucking stupid, but...
It is, but it's the way the world is built, and he's manipulating it.
Which, alright. Now, it's not... For here, I think it was just a... Here, I personally feel it was a little bit of a ham-fisted attempt at shock value, because here's the thing. They did something similar in Psycho Pass. This is like episode 1 spoilers of Psycho Pass, but basically the whole point of the Sybil system is to detect latent criminals. And and one of the first cases they deal with is a woman who gets sexually assaulted and her rapist. They execute the rapist, but then what happens is because of the trauma of that event, the mental framework of the lady, like her worldview is completely changed, which again, understandable. She went through a horrifyingly traumatic event. The Sybil system starts to pick her up as a latent criminal now.
Oh, okay, and then she gets...
But, I mean, they don't kill her. Like, they basically send her in to, like, get, like, a recondition. But the whole point of that is it was to display an inherent problem with the Sybil system. Here, it just feels like a little bit, especially, like, given an earlier explanation, we modeled it after our world, and apparently in our world, nobles are allowed to rape people. Like, I know in Braveheart they did the whole, like, right of the first night, sort of, like, where a lord was able to basically sleep with a woman on her wedding night, but I looked into that. That doesn't really exist.
So they didn't model it after their own world. They talked about it a few episodes ago of creating bottom-up AI.
Yeah.
They created a foundation for this world, and the world built itself up from there.
But it just...
So they made these own laws. Like, the Taboo Index wasn't created... Well, it was molded by
our laws.
What's his face guy on the outside?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was molded, but the people in the game, quote unquote game, made it into what it is today.
Yeah.
And then this noble society that's been built up on these laws, you have these two guys who are pretty much just the bottom of the cesspool of nobles. Mm-hmm. I mean, in terms of like personality, and they're just abusing that power. That topic aside, I really liked just that whole scene of Yu-Gi-Oh! Struggling to... It was kind of an ass pull.
Yeah.
But it felt a little more earned when he actually, like, blew out his eye.
Yeah.
At that scene, I was just like, whoa, Jesus, what's happening? Because, like, all of a sudden, because, like I said before in Sword Art, they cut each other up. He just fucking cuts off Humbert's arm.
Yeah.
And it just sails across the screen, and it's just like fucking... blood fountain just like, whoa, what's happening?
Yeah.
Slow down a little bit.
I don't know. Like, this, I did not I liked some of the aspects of this episode, but did not like really how they went about it here. Like, again, we've seen this trope a few times, and they still don't know how to handle it with any degree of what I feel to be, like, actual weight. It's like a very immature and juvenile way of going about it. Of course the Kirito is going to save the fucking day again.
Yeah, I definitely knew that was going to happen. Like they can't give Yu-Gi-Oh! Enough of a...
Yeah.
They can't let him show off too much by himself. Kirito's got to sneak in.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Like, and also just the whole time, like, Ronnie and Tease are just kind of... They don't really react or contribute to the scene anyway unless they're actually physically being... involved.
Yeah.
It's almost like more like they're afterthoughts or props.
They are damsels.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Which, I mean, there's good ways to use damsels. Like, obviously not every female character is going to be a strong female character.
No, I get that. But these are kind of established to be strong female characters. Or at least, I mean, or they would be, like, because of the... We don't know what kind of characters they are because we only got introduced to them 2 episodes ago. That's the other problem I think I have with this whole episode. They introduced this horrifyingly traumatic thing, and to these characters we have really no context for, and they have no context for, and it's just like, okay, we're supposed to feel sympathetic to them. Why? We just met them 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, it's definitely like a... They exist to explain more about Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kirito.
Yeah.
Or, I guess Yu-Gi-Oh! Because we already know about Kirito.
Yeah.
When Kirito busts in and he saved Yu-Gi-Oh! From Rios.
Yeah, Rios.
As Kirito do.
Yeah.
They did another really cool thing of from the outside perspective, it just looks like 2 guys swinging swords at each other.
Yeah.
But when Kirito looks at Rios, when he's all like smug and shit, he has like this monstrous, kind of evil face. On him as he's just getting. The more he talks about how great he is, the more his sword gets like dark and stronger. Mm-hmm. That was a really cool artistic direction.
I mean, and actually, this in case I feel like this is a little bit of a Star Wars reference because of the whole red light, green light shit.
Like fucking Luke and Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly. Except last time I checked, I don't think that Darth Vader was a fucking crazy rapist.
Yeah, they kind of like have lightsabers, as it looks like a lot of the time.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Also, I want to point out that I think this goes into like the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard a villain say. My arms are bleeding. It's like, no fucking shit.
Yeah, I see.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's just like this episode kind of plays up how fucking comical and ridiculous some of this situation is. Like fucking, like in how like stereotypically evil Humbert and Rios are, because Rios, like when he says basically, yeah, I'm gonna basically rape this girl, he like freaking like tosses off his fucking robe and then just like screams in like bonsai and then later when after Kirito cuts both of his fucking arms off, he starts hopping like a frog over to the bed.
Actually, I didn't see it as comical. I saw that as actually like really disturbing. Because he was at the point where he's like at the brink of death, and he was just so desperate. Like I loved the exchange between Rios and Humbert, where Rios was thinking like, "No, who cares? Just help me! Like take the rope off your arm."
Yeah,
they were like this close knit duo for so long until it comes to a life and death where they immediately try to throw each other under the bus.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem is why is it that attacking a noble or something like that isn't against the taboo index, but rape isn't?
So like I said earlier, they're bending the rules. Mm-hmm. They see raping them as punishing them. So the system's like, oh, let's run that through the checker. Rape, that's punishment. Yeah, send it on through. It's fine.
It's still like, ugh.
Like, I already gave my whole explanation on
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Playing the game.
Yeah, but it's still just kind of like, alright. But after Rios dies in a kind of disturbing way.
Oh, actually. God, yeah, that was hard to watch.
Just like...
like, he was just, like, glitching out.
Yeah.
I hope they explain that more.
Yeah. I mean, the way they kind of explained it's like, what happened to the floodlight? I'm sorry. I don't care how many times they say it, I'm never going to be able to take that terminology seriously.
It was probably kind of... So, the guy... So, they... Go back to when they were running the guy in the simulation. Yeah. And he was talking to himself in the computer.
Yeah. Now I remember.
He kind of self-destructed.
Yeah.
It was probably something like that.
Probably. Yeah. That would make sense. And then it was hilarious because at the end towards the end, we see the face of God. I actually thought it was fucking Dr. Manhattan because that's what it reminded me of. It looked like Dr. Manhattan. And then, but they say something like, Yu-Gi-Oh, don't let Ronnie and Tease hear this. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, they just went through something way more traumatizing than hearing God.
Oh, it wasn't about trauma. It was about not having them be accomplices. Because if they would have heard it, then they could have been like, oh, you're involved in the situation, so the Integrity Knights have to take you away too. Yeah. That's probably why they covered their ears.
Maybe. Although something that kind of makes me wonder makes me think, once again, there isn't going to be any lasting consequences, is because they're getting taken away by Templar Alice. That's what she reminds me of. She reminds me of a Templar Knight, which is kind of cool. I like her design. I do like her design. They're basically they immediately restore Yu-Gi-Oh's eye, like immediately, and then Azurica, I believe her name is, says something to the effect of, "You've officially crossed a limit that I was never able to cross, so you should therefore be able to go where I'm never able to." And it's like, wait, so let me get this straight. He killed somebody, or horribly dismembered somebody, which, why did Humbert get away? Like, I mean, sure, he ran away, but they might as well have just fucking killed him at that point, too.
Yeah, they really are gonna have to come up with something interesting to explain away the fact that they just broke the taboos. And when Alice broke the taboos, she was immediately
like kidnapped
and taken away, and then other people are just like killed for breaking the taboos. It's like, oh well, that's Kirito. So
it's Kirito and Kirito 2.
Yeah.
So they're immune to this shit.
Yeah.
Wait, I mean, all right. I mean, hopefully we'll get more explanations for this, but for now it just feels like, okay, once again, there's no lasting consequences here.
Agreed.
So, SAO, I fucking love to hate you sometimes. It's like an abusive relationship, man. I keep going back for more.
He's such a nice guy. I mean, like, last week, he really treated me to a nice fight scene, but this week, I mean, he hit me, but...
Now, actually, I will say one more thing before we move on to our next show, is when Kirito... Because Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh! Have, like... This would have been a great moment for, like, character development, or even a chance of the two of them kind of explaining their friendship and stuff like that. Like, it could have been a nice scene, because... After, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Did something that he was never expecting to do, and he felt like I'm a criminal, I'm no better than these monsters. And then Kirito just says a throwaway line, "No, you're not a monster, you're human, just like me." It would have been nice if it had been, like, in, like, the prison cell or whatever, when they were lamenting over it, and Kirito had basically had related to the, "I've killed people too, I know how you feel." Like, just sort of like a little bit of trying to help him through that, because it's like, you know, I've been through this kind of situation. It would have been a nice character moment between the two of them. But nope, just a little throwaway line. "You're human like me. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, bro." Alright. Before I fucking give myself an aneurysm. Thunderbolt fantasy. We wasted no time for Shang figuring out that Ji Yun-Glo is dead. Like, none whatsoever.
It was a pretty much direct continuation of the last episode.
Yep, and Liang actually resolves that I finally remembered his name, folks! He resolves that he's going to kill the monk himself now, because he's trying to play it off as, like, Shang's softness is going to get in the way.
Yeah, it's not the fact that he doesn't think Shang has the power to beat him, he just knows that Shang doesn't have the determination to kill someone.
Yeah, I mean, which he's killed people before. Shang hates killing people.
Yeah, he does have it, but he doesn't think he has it here in this situation.
Yeah, because he believes that the monk is still a possibility of a good person. Like, Shang, when he has killed people, it's usually been out of necessity. Like, it's usually been like, and he's usually given people an opportunity. It's like, you can leave now.
Yeah, he always gives an out.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing about it is the way that Long and his Pipa try to explain it as, alright, if you get charmed by the 7 blasphemous deaths, the Sorcerer's Sword Index is gonna fall into the bad guy's hands. That's like apocalyptic end of the world shit, if it does that. So it's better for you to just stay away from this. And, well, and then of course, like, there's a little bit of introspection with the whole, like, wow, you're the biggest softy of them all, aren't you, Lang? With the whole, because
he doesn't want Shang, like, he disagrees with Shang's philosophies, but he also doesn't want Shang to become what he is.
Yeah, I was thinking about it because it was something you'd brought up in a conversation outside of the show. Like, you said that Shang is like the perfect epitome of a neutral good character. It kind of makes me think that if you kind of compare the 3 main protagonists, Lang, Shang, and the enigmatic Gale, Li, I believe his name is.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So they're basically sort of like the different spectrums of quote-unquote good, I think. Because you've got, I think if Shang is neutral good, Lang is kind of more akin to lawful good, sort of absolutist, and then Li, or the enigmatic Gale, is definitely more chaotic good, because he usually does shitty things, but for good reason, I think.
I don't even know if I want to say it's a good reason. There are outcomes. His outcome usually helps people in the long run.
Yeah.
But, I don't feel like he's doing it for a good reason.
Like
his long con is always just like, oh, I can't wait to see the bad guys lament. Which I guess is good, because he never does it to bad people. Or he never does it to good people.
Yeah, he specifically targets villains. Like, he wants to see villains broken.
Which in this episode, we got to see,
just
the
one
moment
of the best
of,
comeuppances.
That's probably the moment that he dreams of. It's just the villain just like, all my ambitions are gonna crash down. No!
Yeah, no. That whole sequence was so freaking awesome because they spend a decent amount of time just explaining the arrangements of their trade deal, and then he's like, I recognize this trade and I don't think it's particularly fair because people in Dongli are more interested in gold and treasure than they are in swords. So what you should do is take this to a merchant or an auction house or something, see how much you can get for it there, and pay whatever half of it that it sells for to me later, after the fact. And the hunting fox is like, you're sure you're okay with this? It's like, yeah, it's like, the only secret trick I have up my sleeve is my illusions.
That one line where he says, all I have is my illusions, and they don't work on you. He made sure to say that to put the hunting fox in a false sense of security.
Yeah.
Because, it just goes along the lines of whenever, for these past, half of the season, whenever those two have been talking to each other.
It's always trying to be the who's the cat, who's the mouse sort of
They're playing fucking four-dimensional chess.
Yeah, exactly.
With every word they say.
Exactly.
And that phrase pretty much won him that quote-unquote game of chess.
Yeah. Had the hunting fox actually called his bluff, but the reason why is because of his glasses, specifically. And the Gale says something later to the effect of, because, for one thing, it's weird seeing him in glasses. Can I just point that out? It is super fucking weird seeing him in glasses.
Also, he didn't need to have them on in that situation. He was just flexing on Sean.
Yeah,
oh, look at these glasses I have.
Yeah. It's like, don't I look great?
Don't you want to ask me about these glasses?
It's like, exactly. But it turns out that he had secretly made glasses that are exactly like the hunting fox's glasses. And he had swapped them without his knowledge. And he said, a tool is if you rely on a tool, no matter how useful it is, to the point of taking it for granted, then you're not really using it to its full potential.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically kind of relied on that arrogance and hubris of the hunting fox, and it's like, yeah, my glasses can see through anything that you do, but he sure as hell didn't see that coming.
Yep. And swapped the swords with the treasure.
And the treasure got sent back to whatever the other country is. It's not Dongli. Geo, I think?
I don't remember, but he sent all of his illegal goods that he'd obtained back to his home base.
And then they immediately thought it was suspicious. It's like, these are masterpieces that were supposed to have been gone for years.
Well, that was only the immediate effect.
Yeah.
That was the immediate of he had to run away. And then he realized, oh wait, all of my illicit goods are being sent back home.
Yeah, no, I know.
And then he's gonna be
completely ruined.
Yeah, and there's at this point there's no way he can stop it, so he's probably gonna do something very desperate at this point.
I imagine it's probably gonna be, again, it's sort of like seeing Light Yagami at the end of Death Note. The fucking facade is finally dropped, and
all that's swimming left on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. All that's left is desperation. Which, again, I love the line that before they revealed that scene is, well, you better hurry, my preparations are coming to a simmer. Just, oh god, I love the enigmatic Gale. He's such a good character.
The other half of this episode was mostly dialogue between Dekong and the Seven Blasphemous Deaths.
His name isn't Dekong anymore.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
His name is, give me a second while I find it. He changed it back to his name before he got back, before he took his oaths,
yeah.
Crap, I can't get to it. Lo Zhenji.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lo, I guess.
Yeah. But I absolutely loved the dialogue between him and the sword, because for the first time, every time we've seen the sword, it's been smug. Even when the Princess of Cruelty slapped a bunch of fucking seals on it, it's like, well, I guess I'll just take a nap anyways. It's never been fazed by anything.
Here it's actually kind of scared.
Yeah, it's scared of these demon hunting swords.
Yeah. But not only that, it actually starts to get scared of the person that is now in control of her, I think. Because
I don't think the sword is scared, is getting afraid of him so much as it is getting enamored with him.
Yeah, enamored, and it's actually sees him possibly as an equal, or the only one person who's actually truly worthy of wielding her.
Yeah, the sword's like, even I'm surprised about what he could, the possibilities he could have.
Yeah, he is, to borrow a line from Persona 3, if I'm remembering specifically, Igor says to the protagonist, "You are like the number 0, empty but full of limitless possibility." And that's kind of what, Lo reminds me of. He's sort of, because he was basically an empty vessel. Yeah. Pretty much. But as soon as you give him something to give him power and give him purpose, yeah, he's fucking terrifying.
Yep.
Because he resolves from this point forward to kill every single holy sword, or every other sword, rather, that would be more enchanting than the 7 blasphemous deaths.
Mm-hmm. I love just how, like, he sees this as, like, a beautiful woman.
Yeah, he keeps referring to it as my princess. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of disturbing, but it makes sense.
Just the writing is just so good.
Yeah.
For just like I've said it before, I'll say it again. The strongest point of the show is the dialogue between characters.
Exactly. And I never thought I'd be so interested in a conversation between a sword and a guy.
Yeah. Like second strongest part of the show. Fucking puppet fight scenes.
Yeah, puppet fight scenes.
Because that scene where he fought the guard.
Yeah, who had the holy sword that he was able to control with like hand motions.
That was a sweet fight scene.
Yeah,
it looked like he had Lo on the ropes there, but just that. Oh, just that puppeteering of that, like when he smashed the sword in between his elbow and his knee.
Yeah,
just that was so fucking cool looking.
I thought he caught it against his arm.
No, he caught it in between his knee and his elbow.
Oh, okay.
And then he squeezed his hand, and then like chi went through the sword and made it explode.
That was actually a really cool line. The whole, or were you foolish enough to believe that flesh is always weaker than steel? And then he just freaking breaks the sword. Yeah. Because again, he already established before, yes, I have some ability to channel ki. Which
when he saved people's lives.
Yeah, we know that Ki has the ability to do pretty crazy shit because that's what Shang is doing all the time. He's making a wooden sword, basically cut like a freaking steel one, and just how he's trying to now break all of these other swords now, and the old guy is on the run. I wonder who's going to be the one to kill him. Who's going to be the one to kill Lo in the end? Is it going to be Shang? Is it going to be Lang? Or is it going to be the enigmatic Gale actually killing somebody?
I'm not sure. How did the episode end?
He was in the temple and he was just like breaking all these swords.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then the 7 blasphemous deaths says he's perfect. I can't believe I found somebody who was so perfect. Pretty much. Again, it's kind of creepy seeing like the sword actually enamored with somebody like this, like you put it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God, I fucking love this episode.
Next up is Zombieland Saga, the mountain training episode.
Yeah.
Which even Kotaro brings up, like, there's always a mountain training episode. Or
yeah, there's always a training montage the training montage in the mountains. And I was thinking, is that a freaking reference to Rocky? Because that's exactly what happens in Rocky 4.
It happens in Ippo as well.
Does it?
Yeah, there's an episode where, without spoiling too much, there's a bear that gets punched.
Okay. Yeah, whenever something big happens, there's always a training montage in the mountains. Which, okay, I want to point out that the whole freaking running gag of this episode was Kotaro yodeling and everything. Because he shows up in a fucking yodeling hat and trying to yodel and just being a freaking idiot like he always is. And it's like, you'll be going to the mountains! Yeah, pretty much. It's almost like watching a goddamn Ricola commercial. Ricola! But at the beginning, Kotaro points out, we have a concert hall booked that's supposed to seat 500 people. Arpino Hall. Now, and this is actually a big deal because Arpino, turns out, was the first show that I had ever done. Or at least the first major one that we're aware of. And then, which actually also leads us to believe that was the show that Sakura actually saw for her.
Yeah.
Like, saw her at.
Because it's been alluding, like, she keeps having flashbacks to Ai, like, on stage.
Yeah. Just, Metal Frill, or Iron Frill, that's their name. Yeah. Iron Frill and that group, And I'm pretty sure that's actually what inspired her to become Sakura to become an idol in the first place. Because if you remember the first episode, which there's actually a callback to the first episode, we'll get to that later. If you remember the first episode, you see her like filling out like this application and how she wants to be an idol. So that's why she ran out into the street that day.
Because she was in a good mood, okay?
Yeah, she was in a good mood and she wanted to go get her idol application and she wanted to be an idol. Which... And then he said this, and then Kotaro said, performing here and doing well will be the first step to saving Saga. And then actually watching it again, I remember it's like, oh yeah, that was the point of the show, wasn't
right?
it? It's like, I forgot that.
I've been so enamored with these girls.
Yeah, I kind of forgot the, that was the whole point of the show. They were trying to save the Saga Prefecture. It's kind of like in Love Live, the whole reason why is they're trying to save the school. And one of the funniest bits, though, from Love Live was when they were like, because our school's closing down due to declining birth rate. I'm like, oh, geez, well, that's a huge bomb to fucking drop.
Yeah, right?
Because it's like, geez, imagine if something else was the reason the school was closed down. Because our school closed down because of a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, super cancer.
Yeah, or a nuclear holocaust. It's like, Jesus. Oh, man. But anyway, enough about that. They go to the mountains. And Sakura does the thing that everybody I'm sure has been through. Like when they get super excited on it, like they like focus like completely 100% on it. It's like, okay, I'm not going to focus on anything else. I have to get this done. Like I'm super excited. I'm anxious but nervous and pumped and just a bunch of different things. And so that's what Sakura was focusing on.
Yeah, she spends like the whole trip trying to practice and practicing by herself and then getting mad at everyone else because they're not practicing.
Yeah.
When everyone else is just kind of chilling out and
trying to just...
They're focused on working together.
Yeah, and trying to like just stay in the mountains, kind of consolidating their strengths and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I do have the one question when it's like, well, we better hope we don't freeze to death. Well, somebody already did freeze. How did Tai freeze so quickly?
Who cares? Comedy.
Okay. And then Yugiri goes and picks a bunch of mushrooms. Like some of these are possibly poisonous, but it's okay because we're zombies.
That sounds really convenient, actually.
Yeah, no, it's like no kidding. You gotta love the advantages to being a zombie. Like hell, you actually can eat poisonous shit and not die. And then you see Junko fishing, and because Sakura's getting more and more annoyed that everybody's just focusing on other things, and then Junko was fishing, and she's like, well, when you take a second and calm down, you can see things from a bunch of different angles. And she relates that whole metaphor to fishing. Like, you can determine, did I use the right bait? Are the fish deep enough? Are there somewhere else that they might be? Blah-de-blah. All this fun shit. Basically trying to get Sakura to see the bigger picture.
It kind of gave me flashbacks to Run with the Wind.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
The whole looking back from another perspective thing.
Exactly. I love, and then, like, she's getting more pissed off, and then Saki brings up, it's like, okay, we've been up here for a while now, but there's something really important that we gotta do while we're here. We gotta eat meat. We're zombies. We gotta eat meat after all. So they get ready to try and catch this boar that, I was trying to kill this entire time. They were up in the mountains. Sakura, of course, falls in the trap, and then a big-ass boar shows up, which... I don't know exactly how to explain the music other than the music that starts playing reminds me of almost like a heavy rock or hard rock version of a fucking Flight of the Bumblebee. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really frantic music.
Yeah, and then it's like Sakura. I remember hearing about this before when I was in part of the revolution. Play dead.
It just bites her head off.
And then Tai shows up.
Oh my god, yeah, attack dog Tai.
Yeah.
Plucks out of the bushes and bites the thing on the ass.
And then it runs away.
Which I think that's that point. That was the point when like Sakura snapped.
Yeah, Sakura finally snapped. Like Kotaro showed up, and then he was being all chipper and annoying like he always is. Which then Sakura just says, I'm going home, just after she finally snaps at everybody and Kotaro. It's like, how is this nonsense supposed to make us any better?
Which, I mean, like, a lot of the stuff you think Kotaro does is nonsense, but it usually has a point to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I mean, it shows later on when he's talking to Yugiri.
Oh, yeah.
About, like, his reasoning was to send her up to cool her off.
Yeah, exactly. I want to point out that when Yugiri, like, meets Kotaro at the bar or whatever that he's at, she announces courtesan on the premises. I wonder if that was a thing that was just common during her time period.
I'm sure it was. Like, yeah. when you walk in, you just like, that's probably what courtesans were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because then she starts just dancing.
Yeah.
And, like, that's just what she did. Like,
yeah.
That was how she did her job.
Exactly. It just, I don't know. I thought it was just a nice little detail.
Yeah, like, we thought it was going to be a Yugiri focused episode just because, like, the previews.
Yeah, and
which it wasn't, but it was cool seeing a little more
of Yugiri. Yugiri, like, and her just... Yugiri's always been just a kind of like the sort of like cool-headed big sister type, pretty much, because...
The den mother.
Exactly, she's the den mother, because she's the oldest, she has the most experience, and she just kind of has a general philosophy of, I don't understand anything that's going on right now, but it's not going to do any good just to worry about it and just try to roll with the current. Mm-hmm. Which, again, a really cool philosophy. But then... then Yugiri slaps Kotaro in the face.
Just like the same thing she did to Sakura when Sakura was about to like give an inspirational speech.
Yeah, exactly.
Freaking Kotaro's like, yeah, he's about to say like, yeah, I was doing it to help her and I want to see her succeed. And then right before he gets finished saying it, he just smacks him. He's like, no, you have to help her succeed.
Yeah, it's like, I won't take any of that half-hearted nonsense from you, Kotaro. And then she storms off. Yeah. It's like, but I did.
I love his little, like,
it's like, I did.
Background dialogue, like when he's, like, the God Olympics.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there like, oh, are you here to do well? And he's like, yeah. I'm gonna win the race.
Yeah, because it's actually kind of hilarious because he's usually so bombastic and over the top, but then when he's usually by himself,
it sounds not like a voice actor. It just sounds like a guy just like
confused.
You guys saw that? Like I was gonna say it, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's like he does the thing that people do is like when he's just trying to get reassurance from random strangers. Like he's just like you saw that, right?
And they just like go. They just continue. Like they don't even like talk about it.
Really acknowledge him.
Guys, help!
I just oh my god! I think one of the really cool bits, though, again, Kotaro can usually it's interesting. It's hard to remember that how insightful Kotaro really is when he's such a bombastic ass most of the time, and most of the stuff he seems just to be total and complete fucking nonsense. But here, it is actually really cool. I keep forgetting how insightful he really can be. Like, because the quote from him is, the strength of being in a group is the ability to make up for individual deficiencies, which results in greater collective strength. If she's got blinders on and can't see around her, there's no point. So that was his whole reason for bringing her up into the mountains in the first place. I mean, we kind of touched on that, but I just like that quote in specific. Again, Kotaro is surprisingly insightful. But then Sakura spends a little bit more time fuming, and then she stops. Like, she sees, like, the rest of the group just kind of practicing without her. Mm-hmm. Like, and she realizes, oh my god, they're, like, completely and totally in sync, and they're totally in sync, and they haven't even been rehearsing at all, but they get each other. And then Sakura apologizes, and she kind of acknowledges that she was pursuing this for kind of selfish reasons. She wanted to put on a good show. That was part of it, but the other big part of it is she wanted to find out about her past, which that location apparently would reveal a lot about her past, or she thought so. And then Kotaro goes into like some nonsensical thing about like how you have to climb the mountain inside your heart.
Yeah,
Arpino is named after the Alps. Alps, mountains. You have to climb the mountain inside your heart. It was so fucking stupid.
That's why I did it. Duh. Obviously.
Yeah. And then
that put Sakura in a great mood. She was happy. Everyone's all working together again.
And then she again. This is the callback to the first episode. It was like a shot-for-shot recreation of the first episode.
Yeah, as soon as she was like in a good mood and like heading out, I was like, ah, shit.
Yeah, and then you see her like even like kick her shoes against the ground to put them on easier, and then like she opens the door, like the sunlight kind of is in her eyes, she kind of covers her eyes, but she's got a smile on her face, and she's like, I'm off! Bang! Yep. Like the exact same kind of truck, too.
I think... So it was a different guy. We don't know if it's a different guy, but it was a guy who's not Kotaro.
Yeah.
But I expected it to be Kotaro.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to throw us off.
Yeah, I almost am certainly convinced Sakura got run over by Kotaro. Like, it has to be. Like, who else could it be? Unless it was just a random accident. Which, why would Kotaro just put her in the band then?
Yeah.
Like, and have him be his leading girl, so to speak. But, I don't know. The other big thing, though, is that we don't know what exactly this entails, because as soon as, like, Sakura, like, kind of regains consciousness or whatever, like, she kind of sits up and just looks around and she's like, where am I?
She's got double amnesia.
But then she has but then what's weird is you see like a bunch of flashes like from her past, like her waking up to brush her teeth, the Idol show, and just a bunch of stuff. So it makes me wonder, did getting hit by the car like kind of reawaken her old memories, but then make her forget the new one she made? Like, I don't know,
man.
I don't know. Like, but I don't know. That's just what I think. I think that she forgot her new memories, but remembers all her old ones now. But there's only a week before the big show,
yep.
So if she forgot all her old memories, or new memories rather, then that means she's got to practice really fucking hard.
And also, there's only 2 more weeks till the season's over, so
yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm assuming next episode is probably gonna be a lot of drama about like memories and stuff like that.
Exactly, like Sakura finally. We're gonna get a Sakura-centric episode finally.
What if she like just realizes like Kotaro is the one who ran her over? She's like has a flashback and then looks at him like,
wait, yeah. Also, one last little quick thing. Like during the whole apology scene, we see Tai smiling. Or attempting to. It was kind of awkwardly smiling.
She
but
still smiled.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, she's smiling.
They've done a really good job of like done nice pacing of how she's slowly becoming more and more human.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because in the beginning she didn't listen at all, and then like I think the first instance of it was like the drive-in Tori commercial where she actually started like kind of working with him.
Yeah, exactly.
And making the absolutely perfect rooster imitation.
Yeah, and being the best punchline for that show. Episode.
That's so good.
Oh my god. Yeah, this series, it continues to be interesting. Like, I was expecting another like kind of emotional episode like Lily, but instead with Yugiri. We didn't get that this time, but still, maybe we'll finally get a Sakura-centric episode. Maybe we'll finally understand why she's so important. Because to this point, we don't know.
Yeah, so that's it for week 10 of fall 2018.
Yeah, hard to believe that it's almost over. I'm actually going to be really sad when the season ends. We've had a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, like some of the stuff is carrying over.
Yeah, let's see. Karakuri, Sword Art, and Run with the Wind, I know for certain. But and Index. So that's 4 shows that are carrying over as far as I remember. Everything else, though, is going to be ending this season. I'm kind of sad.
Yeah, me too. Well, I mean, like, it's the same end of season blues that you get every season.
Exactly.
Next week, Wednesday, we should be putting out our winter 2019 season preview video.
Oh yes, we are going to be doing what we did for the fall 2018 preview. We're going to sit down, read a lot of descriptions, watch a lot of PVs of all the stuff that's coming out, and determine a handful of shows that we think are worth watching next season. We're going to eventually whittle that down to 12 series.
Also, announcement. On that video, we're going to be announcing a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway for all the people that have been watching this so far. We'll figure out exactly how you're going to enter. We'll probably tell you like at the end of that episode. But it's going to be for a $25 Right Stuff gift card. A code, anyways, because the sales on Right Stuff are super good during Christmas.
During the holiday season.
And I believe it'll last long enough for you guys to be able to spend it.
Yeah.
Whoever gets it.
All right. But yeah. Anyway, so that's going to be it for week 10. It's been a really good season so far, guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all pans out. Eventually expect our season review. It's probably going to come out after everything.
Like a week after the next season starts is usually a pretty good idea.
I think we're gonna have to actually review like Golden Kamuy and stuff like that because some of them started late.
Yeah.
But other than that, look forward for those videos.
See you guys next week.
Yep. Until next week, everyone. Take care of yourselves.